Baseball fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Pick any area of the strike zone and take your best swing. If you get a single, double, triple, or home run, you'll receive a prize. Smash a home run to collect a bonus bet on us. Just log into your BetMGM Sports account to get started. Then visit your promotion section to access the Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. You'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. There's nothing more exciting than going yard, so swing for the fences with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, Iowa only. Existing customer offers, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary depending on market and expire 24 hours from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Hikuleo.
I am ELP.
And this is Keeping It Strong Style.
We love you.
Mwah.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out in Barrio the Frost. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review Dominion and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/social suplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on donate under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. We are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP tier subscribers and for free on the Social Suplex YouTube channel. The weekly live stream is a perk of being an IWGP Patreon subscriber, but we wanted to give the public a little taste this week of what the live stream is like. So if you want to access the weekly live stream, ad-free audio, and bonus content, make sure you subscribe over at patreon.com/KI Strong Style.
Yeah, we're live. We're live. See my guy Dex Baker up in the comments section. What's up? Jeremy, I don't know how you tell people that we're doing this, but I don't know, maybe you want to drop something in the Discord.
Yeah, I can post in the Discord real quick. Let me pull this up.
And hit the @everyone. I find that people ignore you until you hit @everyone. That's the best. That's the best way to get the word out about something that you feel is important. So,
yeah, you added all 200 something people to let them know that you're starting training again.
Yeah, and like 14 of them liked it. So that's a pretty small percentage of people that were actually happy to to hear from you in that regard.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure the Tono Talk fan base was like, what? Who is this?
I'm the one that made them listen, or I'm the one that made them watch Magnum and Tully, you know?
Yeah, and they enjoyed that.
Who doesn't enjoy Magnum and Tully? It's one of the greatest matches of all time, period.
Yeah, that is a great matchup there. Hold on, let's see. posting in the Patreon or the Discord right now, so just threw that out there. Might send a tweet later on, but yeah, we are free this week, so this is what you're gonna get if you subscribe to our Patreon on that $10 tier, the IWGP tier. And also, there's tons of bonus audio. The Dominion Deep Dive, Episode 2, dropped this past weekend. Go Shiozaki versus Togi Makabe.
Adult content, nudes, all of that. It's basically an undercover OnlyFans, but for the kissers, you know? That's why we call them the kissers.
Oh, man. So, yeah, we have a lot to jump into. I don't know if you had any other thoughts or anecdotes before we get rolling.
Not suitable for hand damage. That's funny. I will not be talking about fucking Despe Invitational on this card, on this show today. I think that's something we're going to paywall because we can. And no, there actually is a fuck ton to talk about on this show. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's jump right into it. Let's start off with the Dominion review. So this past Sunday, June 9th, we had Dominion 2024, which also held the best of the Super Junior final match between El Desperado and Taiji Ishimori. So we'll start from the opening of the show, work our way through each match. Also, we'll cover the announcements that came out throughout the show, the G1 Climax schedule and format, as well as some of the other big events that got announced for the rest of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. So let's jump into it. So show opened up. We had Tetsuya Naito defeating Callum Newman 8 minutes and 8 seconds.
Yeah, man. Tetsuya Naito, curtain jerker, you know?
Washed.
Man, went from headlining the Dome in January to opening up with a young boy in June. So, you know, Rich Latta, opening match guy. I don't even know.
Brooklyn Brawler.
I don't even know why Rich is in the comments. Like, they're supposed to be doing their own fucking show. Do you think that it's problematic that we have our own show we're asking people to come in and watch it, and then Rich and James are doing the same thing on the same night? We're going head to head. We're splitting the fucking fan base.
You know, it's brand supremacy, you know? No, it just happened.
We don't go until later. I think you guys should go on way later. Move to Tuesday. You know?
You know, we got to have a rating wars and, you know, beat them on the night to move them, you know?
I think they beat us on the main feed, but I think we beat them on the private feed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was a good match. Tetsuya Naito and Callum Newman. Did we have T-shirt Naito, or did he took the shirt off?
Shirt was off. Callum Newman, I mean, he did the big boot from the beginning, hit the big tope. So initially he had the suit on in the beginning, but eventually he took everything off. But yeah, Callum jumped the gun there, tried to get a hot start on him.
Yeah, Callum, and I'm not saying this as a bit. I mean it actually, like, legitimately. Callum Newman was the one that was more impressive to me in this match. Mainly that's, I think, because Naito gave him an opportunity to really shine, get his shit in. And bro, this kid fucking rules. Like, Callum Newman is like one of the bright shining lights of the future of this company until he gets snatched up by Tony Khan. He's just incredible.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, right from the beginning, a big triangle moonsault lands on the feet. I mean, he's doing his rope running is just incredible. Obviously, they call him the Prince of Pace, and he runs the rope not only fast but very intense. Like, he's snapping off of those ropes, and yeah, I thought he looked great here in this match. Eventually, Naito did come back. It's a Frankensteiner, but Newman came back. Also did a tiger suplex for a near fall. So a lot of really good stuff. He kicked out of Naito's running version of the Destino, which has a name now. It's called the Corriendo. So he kicked out of that near fall, and then Naito eventually hits the Destino proper and puts away young Callum Newman.
If Kevin Kelly ever gets on the call for New Japan again, do you think he's gonna be like, how did he call Destino?
Corriendo.
Yeah.
Rich said this sounds weird at regular speed. Talk faster, 1.8 speed.
I listen to all my podcasts at 2x. I can go all the way up to 3 if need be. So
you see, I tried 2x. I'm a 1.5 guy. I tried 2x, but I don't really retain it all. I gotta do 1.5 is where I'm at, you know.
Well, you know.
An evil style match rating is where I like my speed of my podcasts.
You know, when you got the brains, you got the brawn. It's just easier to retain all that information, and that's what I have. So, but yeah, no, Naito picked up the win here. I think 2x too fast. Okay. You know, this is one of those matches I think that where people are hoping to look back at it years down the line and say, Cal Newman, Naito, and now this is a big match 2 years from now or something like that. But I don't know if Naito's still going to be wrestling 2 years from now. We'll see if his body holds up or whatever. But one thing I do want to say, and I know that there's a lot of Naito hate coming from me right now, but I got to call it as I see it. This guy's not looking, not just from movement wise, but like body wise. I'm kind of wondering if some of the shit that Kenny Omega said back in the day about these guys not getting in the gym is actually true, because got a gut.
Well,
and he's not the only one. Desperado's kind of looking a little flabby too. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. New Japan's not a body guy company these days.
Yeah, I feel like Naito's never always been like the greatest of shape anyway. But yeah, I mean, also not looking in peak Naito condition, but Dex says, is it hate if it's true? Oh, man. But yeah, RS says Callum Newman needs to wear a bodysuit. I mean, Callum's putting on a lot of muscle. I think he's looking good, and he's packing on the muscle. He'll probably trim down eventually, but he's kind of on that Ospreay cycle right now where he's just really bulking up, really getting muscle, and he's not losing speed yet. So I think Callum's at a good size right now.
He's on a cycle, you say?
Great old Khan, he's out there making sure United Empire has their candy.
You shouldn't say shit like that, because it sounds like you have some sort of insider information and you're accusing, him of being like a fucking drug dealer.
Let me be clear. I have no inside information about the happenings of Great Okan and what United Empire does. On the record. Yeah.
But Naito picks up the win here. Big win in the W column. Huge win over Callum Newman. Monumental accomplishment and a good opener. I think a lot of people are kind of pointing back to this match in a similar manner to the match that we saw between like John Moxley and Shota Umino in the same opener in the same spot and everything like that. But I don't see Callum Newman coming under the learning tree of Tetsuya Naito. I don't see him becoming ungovernable or anything like that in the future. So
yeah, I've seen some people also kind of pointing back to Kenny Omega versus Jay White when he was a young lion, and I think there's somebody else Kenny wrestled too that was a young lion before they graduated.
It was Finley.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Dave Finley. So a lot of people kind of pointing back to that as well. Some of these young lion guys before they come back from excursion going up against the top star, and Kenny gave Finley and Jay a lot in those matches too. So clearly there's a lot. The New Japan audience sees a lot, or office sees a lot in Callum Newman, and so I think there's a lot of future here for him.
RS in the comments said Despy got naked today, and it was sad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't watched that show yet, so thanks for the spoiler.
Hey,
I saw the photos. Yeah,
it's hard to miss. You scroll on Twitter, all you see is bare cheeks Despy out here.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next match. So we had the TMDK team of Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, and Zack Sabre Jr. defeating the Bullet Club War Dogs of Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney, and they were teaming up with LJ Cleary from the Good Looking Guys.
Bro, when LJ Cleary was walking down, for some reason I thought he was one of the fucking Philippe brothers for a second there, and I was like, oh shit, like the Rogue Army's here. Like,
Where's Fale?
Yeah, where's Fale? And then they're like, oh, it's a good-looking guy. And I'm like, oh, it's Noah Trash. I don't know who that is. I don't need to know who it is. Whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for another fucking Altogether show.
Oh, man. So this match was to set up the upcoming junior tag team title match that's coming up this coming Sunday, New Japan Seoul. Vegeta and Robbie Eagles will be challenging Drilla and Clark Connors for those titles. So that was kind of the feud there. Then plus, Naito is feuding with Jake Lee and the good-looking guy. So that's kind of where LJ Cleary came in the mix here.
Yo, there's so many comments coming in. Can you see who's in this shit? Like,
well, I can see the number of viewers, and then I'm just seeing the comments coming in. We had our boy Ethan Saber Jr. here saying, OMG, the ace of podcasts, keeping a strong style, covering New Japan and ready to hold it down. Got RS in here. Siamese Twin Cobra says LJ equals Teen Wolf.
Dan.
Dan Coffin. I like this video. I can watch Josh get drunk in real time.
I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm just staying hydrated. This is just this is lime sparkling water from Aldi. The fuck?
It's almost like you got a reputation or something.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan. Fucking A. Anyways, I don't know how he is.
Dr. Lariat.
Okay, it's Doc. Yeah, he said that.
Oh, MJ in the chat.
MJ's in here. Fuck, there's a lot of people. You guys need to be paying us money to be in this shit in the future.
Yeah, this is a freebie this time, and so go to patreon.com. You see it right there, up on the.
When he said that he's like Teen Wolf, is he implying like it's like the last scene of that movie where the dude like zipped his pants down and like whipped his dong out? Nobody noticed it. You can like still catch it. Is that what he's like implying?
I don't know. I've never seen Teen Wolf, so I don't know what what the reference is there.
Do you not know what I'm talking about?
No.
So in Teen Wolf, it's a basketball movie, kind of. Anyways, they win the big game, and at the very, very end, everybody in the audience like storms down. You know how they do that movies to celebrate? One of the extras fucking whips out his dick. Like legit. And they never caught it in post, and it's still in the movie, like to this day. It's like just like exposes himself.
That's crazy.
And it's like it's still in there. So I'm guessing that's LJ Cleary.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was fine here. I mean, I'm not like super impressed with him. He was fine here in the matchup. I mean, the main focus here was between Vegeta and Eagles and the War Dogs to set up that junior tag team title match.
You sound like GSP. You're like, I was not impressed with your performance.
I mean, he was fine. I'm not begging to see him again.
Dan says spoilers for Teen Wolf. Oh man. But anyways, yeah, man, TMDK, they pick up the win here, kind of, setting up Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita to challenge against Clark Connors and Drill Maloney. I didn't watch the post-match comments, but it seemed like Zack Sabre Jr. was starting to he took exception to the slap that he received from LJ Cleary in the match, and so maybe this is leading to something at the crossover shows between Team DK and good looking guys. I don't know, but
yeah, we'll see. Zack got the win with the Zack driver. We also know that Zack Sabre challenged Orange Cassidy for Forbidden Doors. That match is official, so getting him a win under his belt leading into that pay-per-view. So following that, we had the provisional KOPW title match, Storm Catch Rules. We had Great Okan defeating the Heat Storm, Yuya Uemura, in 10 minutes and 36 seconds to become the new provisional KOPW 2024 champion.
Doc says, does LJ surf on a van? That's a great question. Team Wolf, Michael J. Fox, he surfs on a van. Anyways, Storm Catch Rules. This is definitely, Jeremy, the only match on the entirety of the card that I just did not vibe with whatsoever. And this is coming from, the Catch Rules aficionado, the guy that likes it. Well, I guess you probably have some tendency to lean that way too.
I like this match.
You liked the match?
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking hated this match.
I mean, I'm not going, 4.5 on it or anything, but
did you pull out the notebook?
I don't know if I pull a notebook out, but it was a really good match. I mean, compared to what we saw last time with the whole lemon eating and all that stuff, I'm like, I'd rather see this, some solid wrestling. I like the strategy between Uemura was kind of forcing Great Okan to use the rope breaks. He forced him out there with the throw over the top. So, Great Okan ended up burning two of his rope breaks and escapes early on in the matchup there. And then Uemura was working on the arm, trying to submit him. But ultimately, Great Okan was able to come back, weather the storm, hits the super eliminator to defeat Uemura.
So I did like the near fall section down the stretch where Uemura gets him in the straight arm bar, and essentially like Okan has no more rope breaks, so there's nothing that he can do, and he just has to kind of muscle his way out of it. I thought that was a good near fall. But the actual wrestling itself, I felt like it was really lacking. Like, if the whole thing's supposed to be a catch style rules match, I want to see them go out there and like actually do some mat-based grappling. Mm-hmm. And we've seen them showcase the fact that they can excel at this together in all the like preview tag matches leading up to it. But then in the match, they told a story of reflexes and like the fact that they want to strike each other, but they can't strike each other, so they don't know what to fucking do with their hands and their arms, and then they're kind of just doing a pro wrestling style match without strikes, and it's getting confused. And I'm like, aren't these supposed to be like two guys that are really good at like wrestling? Why aren't they grappling like hardly at all? Like the grappling to me sucked, and I'm like, what's the point of to me, it just came off as more KOPW bullshit, honestly. I mean, sure, it wasn't lemon eating, but I don't know. It wasn't great wrestling either. I'm thank God this shit was only 15 minutes and not the
61 minute
61 minute shit they wanted to do. My God. But I mean, like, I don't know. I've seen both of these guys have way better wrestling matches. You go and you look at all of Uemura's like Black Trunks Days matches, and I mean, it's just immensely better wrestling that he normally does. They got cute with the rope breaks and him tossing Okan over the top rope, but that's pure style rules ROH bullshit that nobody asks for that or needs that in a wrestling match to begin with. Like, I don't know. To me, I didn't think this was a very good wrestling match. I just thought it was kind of silly and goofy. And then Okan beat Uemura, which I'm like, why the fuck did we hot potato the belt in the first place? Like, what are we doing here? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of in agreement with Dr. Lariat here. I like the finishing sequence and, kind of forcing Great Okan. He had him in the arm bar there, and he was kind of stuck without a rope break, and he was, really struggling to get to the rope there. Well, he was trying to get to the ropes, but he couldn't. And Red Shoes, or whoever the referee was reminding him, if you grab the ropes, like it's a DQ, you're out of there. And so really having to fight through, and was able to power him up, get him in that super eliminator, which I think is the first time he's done that, the double arm version of the eliminator. So I don't know. I'm not, putting it in the notebook. I'm not saying it's a match of the year, but compared to what we've seen from KOPW in the last couple of months, I thought this was an improvement.
Well, I mean, on the one hand, I'm kind of like, okay, Uemura dropped the belt, right? So maybe he can move on to something that's a little bit more worthwhile. We get the title back on Okan. But then I realized, like, Okan's probably going to go back to doing rural revitalization shit. So we're going to get those weird fucking quirky ass matches that I hate. And then Uemura is kind of like, I don't know, like a failure. Maybe they're telling a story that he's not, of the same ilk of the other Reiwa guys that have returned. But he just seems to have, ever since they cut his hair, he's lost his confidence and really doesn't seem to have that same swagger, that same charisma that he once had. He's having really middling results here, and couldn't even defend this title successfully one time.
Yeah, I know sometimes, Gail likes to do that. It makes your first defense a loss. But yeah, I feel like Uemura is a guy that should try and get up and running. But like you mentioned, since he got the haircut, something's been different. Because, we saw this guy as a young lion showing a lot of charisma, a lot of promise. And now coming back, cuts the hair. He has this whole Heat Storm gimmick. He's in Just Five Guys. And I think it's everything with what they're doing with him is just not working out for me. And I think he needs to kind of find what's missing again, and maybe that's a gimmick shift, maybe that's a faction shift, but on the path he's going right now, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him lose like in the G1 qualifier and not even have him in G1.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. But I mean, think about it. It's like, not only did he lose this first defense, but he also failed to win the tag team titles when they're in Taiwan. And then he had that match in California with Shingo, where he got his ass beat, like bad, like real bad. He just got eaten alive. So it's not even just that he lost the first title defense, it's that like it's a string of failures in between the two title matches. So yeah, I don't know.
MJ says send him to the PC, develop his Riz. Yeah, something needs to happen with him, because right now he's not on the right track, and also the booking of him losing is not helping at all either. So they need to do a big turnaround with him.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to the next match, we had the never openweight 6-man tag team title match. The LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and the Gene Blast, Yota Tsuji, they defeat Hiroshi Tanahashi, Boltin Oleg, and Toru Yano to become the new champions in 8 minutes and 32 seconds.
Yeah, so this one kind of, I don't know. Did they announce this ahead of time?
This title match?
Yeah, like how far in advance did we talk about this last week?
No, we teased it because they did set it up on the last, last B block night or whatever, one of those last nights they teased it, and it was announced after we had already recorded.
Gotcha. Because I was gonna say, I was like, I hadn't heard that this match was happening.
But yeah, on one of the, I think it was the last B block night, somebody pinned Yano in an undercard match. I think it was Tsuji or Hiromu.
Gotcha. Yeah, so this match caught me off guard. I was like, wait, we're having a never 6-man title match? I didn't realize. And yeah, I was a little surprised. Tanahashi, Boltin Oleg, Toru Yano, they actually got the Bebop tag team fucking jackets. They even got like a long trench coat for Oleg. So I'm like, okay, they're like a proper 6-man. They got like the matching uniforms, like we're good to go. And then they lost. Which is like, it's fine. Hiromu and Bushi, they've never held tag team gold together, as crazy as that seems. They finally accomplished that goal here. I guess technically this is Yota Tsuji's first title win here too, so there's some significance here. I thought the match was fine. I enjoyed seeing Yota Tsuji and Oleg Boltin square off and kind of go after it and everything like that, but it was fine. It was just, it was a whatever match. They did a quick title change. These two title changes this early in the show kind of signaled to me that we probably wouldn't be seeing certain titles change hands later in the night, but the crowd seemed to be into it. So
yeah, the crowd all night was really great, and so yeah, they were really into this matchup. Love the interactions between Boltin Oleg and Yota Tsuji, and Boltin doing the big gut wrench side to side gimmick to Yota Tsuji. That was a cool spot there. And then of course I think that the big story of the match is Tsuji hitting the Gene Blast spear on Tanahashi. And if you know the history between Tsuji and Tanahashi, Tsuji was Tanahashi's young lion, and he was there, as a young lion, always, pounding on the mat and, crying for Tanahashi in big matches. So kind of a full circle moment here. Hits the big Gene Blast on Tanahashi and gets the win for his team and captures his first championship in New Japan.
Yeah, we got some questions here. Pretty funny one from MJ.
Yeah, MJ says, is Tanahashi's trainer the same guy that got Drake his abs, BBL Tana?
I think he just always has the abs. I don't know.
Yeah, they posted a picture, I think it was on his Instagram, of like the pre and post like training regimen. He had like, the pot belly, and then trimmed down, had the abs. And so
You know what the secret is? It's bullshit. Those are not taken far apart. They were taken moments apart. All he did was push his stomach out because he is fat like that. And then all he did was tighten it up because he does have those abs like that. And that's really it. Like, there was no training regimen. There was no time lapse. Like, these were taken moments apart. Maybe they like photoshopped the abs a little bit. That's about it. Like,
Are you accusing the president of working the Instagram?
I know a fucking worker when I see one, and that's what Tanahashi is, a fucking worker, you know?
Death Triangle 720 says, with LIJ holding the Never belts, who should be their challengers?
Ozempic BBL. Their next challengers are going to be the former champions of Tanahashi, Yano, and Oleg Boltin.
That's right. Yeah, they face off this coming Sunday, New Japan Seoul. But if they are to retain, I think there's a ton of trios you can do with United Empire. There's Bull Club War Dog trios you can do. There's a Hantai mix you could do. Just 5 guys. There's plenty of people for them to face. Yeah,
there's so many. For me, the gold standard of the Never division is always going to be those, the Chaos team.
King of the North. That says it's Ishii, Goto, Yoshihashi.
Fuck yeah. And then those guys when they were champions. So, I guess they were both Chaos teams, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2 golden age Chaos teams that held those titles, I want to get back to a point where we're having matches of that same level of quality for these belts. We'll talk about it later, but there's a lot of discussion of phasing out titles and merging titles and everything. And I've heard a lot of people be like, they don't, a lot of people who probably don't watch New Japan very regularly saying that they could just easily get rid of the 6-man. I'm like, the 6-man has been some of the fucking strongest styles they've had for several years. No, we're not getting rid of the 6-mans.
Yeah, we'll go through Tanahashi's whole 10-point plan later, but yeah, I love the Never 6-mans. It's a great thing to put on somebody like a guy like Hiromu who has nothing going on right now. You can slide him in there. I don't know. It's a great. I think trios titles in general. I know a lot of people don't like trios titles, but I feel like if utilized properly, trios / 6-man titles can be a great addition to a promotion. So moving on to the next matchup, we had the NJPW World Television title match. Jeff Cobb defeats the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii in 11 minutes and 47 seconds.
Okay, so do you want to hear my hot take, Jeremy?
Oh, you didn't like this match?
No. I liked the match. I liked the match for sure. How could you not like the match? But here's my hot take. Saw so many 5 stars, match of the year contenders shit, and just heaps of praise on this match. I just wasn't quite there on this one. I liked it. Of course, it was very good, but I was I don't know, 4.25. A great match, but not something that I'm gonna probably go back and rewatch. It just didn't land for me the way it did. I don't know why, but it didn't land for me like it did for everyone else.
I loved it. I'm not going 5. I'm not saying match of the year. I'm 4.5 on it. I thought the intensity was there from the opening bell that came out, swinging at each other, and then just so many great spots. You had Ishii doing a Hurricane Rana, which is crazy.
That was sick.
Jeff Cobb, doing his big suplexes, and just the back and forth, and then that closing sequence there was just incredible. Ishii hitting the Hurricane Rana, and the crowd went crazy for that. And then hits a clothesline for a near fall. He's going for the brain buster. Cobb escapes and gets him up in the tour of the islands. And I thought for a sub 12-minute match, it was bam, 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 hard strikes, big moves, high spots. Crowd was into a ton of energy. This is what all these TV title matches should be like quick, hard, intense, and fast paced.
At the very tail end, when Ishii got him up and held him up and held him up, and I was like, oh shit! They got me for a half second. I was like, oh, is Ishii about to win the fucking,
Yeah.
And then he came down and he, gave him the tour of the islands, and I'm like, oh, goes to figure. But they really got me to bite there for a half second, where I was like, because if Ishii lands this brainbuster,
game over.
That's it. That's game over. It's game time. And
Yeah.
It didn't work out that way, unfortunately. But this was an excellent match. I think for a lot of people, this was the match of the night. For me, I don't think it was, to be honest, but it was really good.
Yeah, I think it's probably my match of the night. But yeah, I went 4.5. Thought it was awesome. Again, just hard hitting, fast paced. King of the North here in the comments says he sensed the urgency too of the time limit. And yeah, I think they worked it really well. A lot of times, I think all these TV title matches can end up being really slow at the beginning, and then it's like they're tease the time limit, and like the last minute, it's like fast paced. Where here, I felt like there was a ton of urgency, like from the beginning of the bell, like they were going at it, and so this was like the perfect, I think, in my opinion, a great template for TV title matches.
Well, that's the thing with Zach. When Zach was working these matches, they were always very good, but his style of wrestling, it's more intended for a more drawn out match than just 15 minutes. So there typically was a slower pace in the beginning. Like they wouldn't open with, like just getting to the shit. Like that's not what his matches are like. And with Jeff Cobb, it's been a lot more smash mouth, in your face style wrestling. And it's been pretty refreshing. I liked it.
Yeah. So then following that match, we had the big announcement for G1 Climax 34. So we know that the tournament's happening July 20th and ending on my birthday, August 18th. So we are back to 2 blocks of 10 wrestlers. We're back to 30-minute time limit for the matches. 18 participants will be announced this coming Sunday at New Japan Seoul. And then for the final 2 spots, those 2 participants will be determined by a play-in tournament beginning on June 22nd on the New Japan Seoul Tour. The top 3 wrestlers in each block will enter a knockout stage. The second and third place wrestlers in each block will wrestle to advance to semifinals. So what's going to happen is you're going to have A1, A2, A3. A1 advances to semifinals. A2 and A3 face off, and that winner will face A1, and then the winner of that will go to the finals and face the winner of the same thing happening on the B block side of things.
The way you're explaining this reminds me of like when Tony Schiavone would go through the rules of War Games. It's like, okay, it's very simple. First, there's going to be a phase.
Well, bro, it was funny when I was watching it. Like, I had to like pause it and like go back. I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what's happening? So the winner of the semifinals will wrestle on August 18th in the finals. The knockout stage, again, that's intra-block. So the winner of A2 versus A3 will face A1. The winner of B2 versus B3 will wrestle B1 in the semifinals. And so the finals will definitely be A block versus B block scenario. So, Youngbo, what are your thoughts on this G1 announcement?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that the announcement... Hold on.
Ziggy's trying to do a run-in?
Yeah, my dog he's crying, he's freaking out. He does this thing, bro, where it's like, okay, he doesn't get fed till 8, right? But as soon as 7 o'clock hits, he's super smart. But he knows it's not time, but he just decides at 7 he's going to start crying for the food, even though he knows. No, see how he looked at me when I said that word?
Worker.
He knows what that is. Yeah, but no one's going to give it to him until 8. So he's just sitting here like freaking crying, and I can hear him with the headset on.
King of North said he's crying over these bracket breakdowns.
No, yeah. So, I mean, it's mostly really good news. I'm a little bit mixed, but I'm like 90% positive. So, I mean, the fact that we're getting 2 blocks of 10 format, again, that's fantastic. That's going to cut down on a lot of the issues we've had over the last few years. The fact that there is going to be play-in rounds for the last few spots is really cool too. I've always thought that there should be some qualifications to get into the tournament. It's not quite what I've envisioned, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm not in love. I do like the idea of them having more than just the top 2 guys go through. The idea that the top 3 go through is very interesting because they've never done that before. So it's a brand new format. So we can kind of see, how that experiment plays out. But I don't love that it's going to result in 4 rematches, 2 rematches for each block automatically for sure. You know what I mean? Now there's ways around that where it could be really good. So it's not all negative, but I mean, I'm just not sold on the idea of getting 4 rematches for the semifinal round or for the playoff rounds or whatever you want to call it. But the fact that we're going to get a definitive A block winner and a B block winner, and they're going to go to the finals against one another for sure. I guess that's the trade-off, is that you have no shot of getting a rematch in the finals, whereas with some of the other formats that was a possibility, and it's not here. So it's a little bit of give and take, but it's going to be hard to predict this one for sure.
Yeah, definitely going to be very unpredictable with all the new elements here. And yeah, I kind of get what you're saying with the semifinal stuff. I think it could open the door though to have like upsets in the tournament play. Like, you know, for example, maybe you have a guy like Tsuji, I don't know, beat Naito, whatever, clean in the block. And then also Naito can get the win back in the semifinal round kind of thing. So you could also have like quick banana peel stuff where, you know, if Yano rolls somebody up or whatever, and then they have that rematch or whatever. You know, I think there's stuff like that you can do that could potentially make it interesting. Or you have guys kind of hold back on big spots, knowing they're going to do a rematch, and then they do the real version of the match in the play-in rounds.
I mean, my ideal is that you have two guys that have that are big stars. They have incredible chemistry. They're in the same block. Like, let me give you an example. Ishii and Shingo end up in the same block. They have a banger in regular play. And then they end up being like the number 2 and number 3 guys, just for instance. And then they have just as good of another match. Like, that's what I want. Just give me the fucking great matches with the snowflakes, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
We don't need to do what Baba and Inoki used to do back in the day and go to a double count out or go to a no contest or whatever, so that between anytime in those tournaments back in the day where two big stars were going to fight and it went to like the fight, it got thrown out real early, or there was a distraction finish or a double count out or a no contest, and it was the two big stars. Like if it's Inoki and Hogan, right? Mm-hmm. You know that they're going to fight again in the finals, and that like we got the non-finish match because they plan to give us, you know, that was always a tell. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that Gedo doesn't do that here. You know, I'm hoping that like, you know, they give us like the best wrestlers having the best matches, the best scenarios, so we can turn around and be like, how legendary was the 2024 G1?
Yeah. Well, I think things are definitely in the right direction here, and it does kind of seem like, well, they're, you know, quote unquote listening to the audience, because, you know, last several years they've had the 4-block format, and fans have complained and have, you know, cried back for the 2-block format, and so we're back at 2-block. Of course, they add the whole wrinkle there with the top 3 guys, but overall, I think 2 blocks, 30-minute time limit, we're kind of back on a right direction. And like King of the North was saying in the comments, you know, hoping, you know, some of the young guys like Tsuji and Umino are in different blocks, keep those guys apart. I want to see Tsuji and Umino mixing it up with some of the top guys and whoever else is going to be in this tournament. Have them, you know, face a Zack Sabre Jr., have them face Ishii, have them face Jeff Cobb. I think we need to see them mixing it up with some of the already established guys in this in the company.
Well, that's the other thing too, is like, you know, when there was 4 blocks, it was much easier for them to keep everybody apart and come up with these sort of definitive identity blocks. You know, the C block's the bruiser block, and last year the A block was all the young guys and blah blah blah. Can't really do that so much with the A and a B block. Like, you're going to get situations where, you know, just based on simple math, like, it's a 50-50 shot that a lot of guys are going to end up in blocks against one another. We'll probably, you know, maybe this year we'll finally get the ZSJ Taichi match that we've been waiting for, shit like that, you know?
Yeah, King of the North suggests Shingo versus Tsuji. I would love that as well. So we had a bunch of questions here coming in from the Reddit, Twitter, and Discord about G1. First here from Dr. Lariat. He says, with the new G1 qualification matches in 2 blocks of 10, are we due for just all quality in the blocks, or are we fade to have Chase Owens in this tournament?
You know, it's interesting. We had a conversation with a friend of the show, Chris Sampson. He kind of gave us his predictions. I'm not going to blow a spot up, but he kind of gave us a list of guys that he thinks are very likely candidates to be in there, and then guys that are sort of on the bubble, and then a list of candidates that are likely to be like in the play-ins. And while, yes, the company is lacking in star power right now, they're not lacking in overall talent, and it's going to be very competitive to get into a 20-man field even still, especially with other partnerships. Not saying they're going to feature predominantly or have a lot of those guys, but, you know, you have to wonder if there's going to be either a CMLL, AEW, or NOAH representative, one or two, and that would also eat up some spots. So it's going to be tough. I mean, even if they don't do anything like that and they just have their guys, it's going to be tough to get in there. And I do wonder if a guy like Chase Owens is in this tournament or not, even though he has been for the past several years.
Yeah, and he's been booked kind of well. I mean, he's gotten upsets in these tournaments in the past, and we know how much this company loves Chase Owens. Dex says, if Yujiro's in this.
I think Yujiro, I could easily see like a guy like Yujiro or Hanma being in like the play-in rounds, but I don't think they're going to get in the tournament this year.
Yeah, King of the North asks, do we see a play-in match on AEW TV?
I won't.
Josh doesn't watch the Converse. I mean,
I do. If they put on a good show, I'll watch it. Wait, isn't Osprey and Phoenix this week?
Yes, international title match.
I'll have to look at the rest of the card. I think I'm busy actually, so I don't think I'll be able to. But I am interested in seeing that match. Although I've seen it, I saw that match in person actually live WrestleMania weekend. So I've seen the match a few times.
Yeah, should be a great matchup, but yeah, I guess it depends if an AEW guy's going to be in the G1. I guess they could do a qualifier. I don't know. I feel like they might just give an AEW guy just one of the open, like, or one of the 1 through 8 spots. I don't know if they'll make them qualify or not. Dr. Larry also asks, if there are qualifiers to the G1, does that mean we get guest appearances this month?
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we're going to get some kind of outsider, whether that is AEW, CMLL, Pro Wrestling Noah. We've seen New Japan working with a lot of different promotions, so I would expect that we would still get some kind of, interpromotional play there. Rambo and Slam Pig says, I am happy about the return to a 20-man G1, and I'm hopeful we see the Chase Owens and Yujiro's cleared out, but I'm worried that Ishii will also not make the cut due to his age and knee. Any thoughts on this change?
Any thoughts, Jeremy?
Yeah, while you deal with Ziggy there. Yeah, I mean, I think there was rumors, 2-3 years ago that Ishii was going to be on the chopping block for G1, and I think there was...
Yeah, why are you doxing my dog, bro?
What do you mean?
You're saying his name out loud. I mean, you're doxing him right now.
But yeah, Ishii was on the chopping block already, and so, I mean, who knows? They could potentially be like, yeah, we want to show that we're getting rid of the old guys and we want to, advance some of the young guys. So yeah, a guy like Ishii could be out of it. Personally, I would rather you keep, your Chase Owens, your Yujiro's, even some of the tag guys like Nichols, Haste, keep them out of there. I see some people questioning Goto and Yoshihashi. I don't know. I feel like those guys are really solid workers, and those are guys that you can beat and help people get over. But I feel like there's definitely some fat you can cut who have been in the tournaments the last couple of years and make this thing really, the best of the best, the grade 1 climax.
They certainly needed to trim down the field because we were, lacking in major names and star talent, and filling a 24-man block. I mean, it just kind of became like par for the course. You would assume that most of these people that are sort of on the chopping block would just automatically get into it. Now that it's become a much more competitive field, we are wondering if like a Goto or an Ishii are even going to be in the tournament, and there is more intrigue and attention just being given to the tournament and the entrance from the get-go, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Let's see. We had a question here from MJ Does PR. Says the play-in tournament for the G1 is an exciting addition to the tournament, but I'm also interested in the play-in or the semifinals. It makes for more variations and booking possibilities and keep more participants engaged deeper in the tournament. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to expound upon that. What he's saying is accurate. I've already given my disclaimer about my apprehension about the rematches, but there's no doubt that it opens the door for creative booking, provided it's done well. It could be very effective.
Yeah, and I like that he made the point too. Yeah, it keeps more people engaged in the tournament in the end. Like you have, 6 people towards the end instead of just 4, instead of just 2, and so it does keep people more alive. I think it adds a little bit more intrigue there.
Yeah, and it really negates that thing that you could do in years past where you look at the final night, you just kind of start playing elimination. You're like, all right, this match is these are the guys that have a chance of going through. This match is you can kind of or I don't know what word I'm trying to say is, but you can kind of predict what is going to fucking happen very easily that way. But when you've got 3 guys that are going through out of a 10-man block and you're looking at the final night and you have no context for what occurred prior to that, I mean, the possibility that someone accurately predicts this entire tournament, it's way harder now.
Yeah. He asked a question. Also, I'm going to read a Representative Net26 question. Says, seeing a lot of people discounting Mox and not including him in the G1 tournament, do you see him being included?
I do not think Jon Moxley is going to be in this year's G1.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very highly unlikely Mox will be in the G1, and we'll talk more about that why later when we get to that matchup. Def Triangle 720 says, with the G1 back at 20, who do you think deserves to be in it?
I mean, I'm not going to do a full 20 list, but yeah, I mean, there's quite a few guys that deserve to be in it for sure.
Yeah. He also said, if you had to choose between Bolton and Newman to be in the G1 this year, who would you pick?
Oleg Bolton, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have to pick between. I want both of them in there. I feel like both of them would be good in there, but I think overall, probably Bolton Oleg would be the better pick. But I mean, I feel like Newman's going to be in it. They've done a lot of teasing about him, bulking up and wanting to be in G1. His whole feud with Naito. So I think at least he's going to be in a qualifier on the New Japan Soul Tour. Next question from Lee Chang is Bay 2. Pentagon Jr. recently said that he stopped working for AAA because he's working on something else internationally. A surprise, something he hasn't done in his career and that he has wanted to do for a long time. Now we all know CMLL and AAA has had beef in the past and that CMLL is a close partner to New Japan. So do you guys think this international project he's working on is possibly the G1? This could be his final shot to do it since his contract with AEW ends in the fall and WWE is interested in bringing him in.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I think that that's definitely worth paying attention to. And how fucking exciting would it be if Pentagon, like, that would just be something that just completely turns the entire tournament on its head. There's so much there, to kind of unpack, because it's like Pentagon, he's never been, I don't know if he's been to Japan, but he's never worked New Japan, obviously, and all the different potential matches that are there, and how would the booking work with Tony Khan, and then how strong would they have to present him? How good would those matches be? They'd probably be, freaking awesome. And then, just all the interconnective stuff between CMLL and AAA. It would be kind of mind blowing. And I hope it does happen. I don't know how likely it is, but, cross your fingers, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would love for Pentagon to be in this thing. They did tease Lucha Bros. I believe it was during Wrestle Kingdom, during the tag title, VTR. They were talking about, great tag teams in the world that want to come to New Japan and challenge Bishamon. And they showed a clip of Penta and Phoenix. So a lot of people were excited back then thinking, oh, we're going to get, Lucha Bros coming in for the tag titles, but that never happened. So I think now that some of this CMLL, AAA, there's a little bit, playing room there that Tony Khan and Rocky Romero have worked on. I think that, yeah, it's potential to see a guy like Pentagon who hasn't worked AAA in a while and is, a contracted AEW guy. I think there's a potential chance there for him to get into a tournament and, really shake some things up there. So also with that G1 announcement, they announced some key dates for a tournament. So June 16th, this Sunday, Father's Day, New Japan Seoul. We got 18 of the entrants being announced, A1 through 9, B1 through 9, and then June 22nd will be round 1 of the G1 Climax 34 play-in side, 4 matches, 8 wrestlers. June 23rd will be the other round 1 play-in side number 2, 4 matches, 8 wrestlers. Then obviously June 30th, we got Forbidden Door. July 3rd, we have the semifinals of both the play-in sides to determine who's going to get into the G1. July 5th, we have the finals of both of the play-in sides. Then July 20th through August 14th is G1 Climax block matches. August 15th, being the knockout stages with A2 versus A3, B2 versus B3. August 17th, we'll have the semifinals, and then August 18th, the G1 final match. August 30th, we'll have Capital Collision in DC. September 29th, we'll have an event in Kobe World Hall, which is normally Destruction in Kobe. October 14th, in Ryogoku, we'll have an event historically King of Pro Wrestling. November 4th will be in Osaka Prefectural Gymnasium, which is historically Power Struggle. Then on November 17th, we'll have historic crossover in Osaka. And then December 8th will be in the Grand MSC Kumamoto, which will probably be the World Tag League Finals.
Yeah, a lot of, I was optimistic when I saw that. A lot of really good venues and some big events. And we don't have all the titles and names for the schedule that are coming up, but it looks like they're doing some pretty cool and interesting things coming up here. I also I didn't delve too deeply into these announcements. So, I mean, the play-in is basically a 16-man tournament.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
With, two brackets, 8 guys on one side, 8 guys on the other side, and only out of those 16 guys, only 2 people are going to get in.
Yeah. And I did get those notes from friend of the show, Chris Samsa. Does a great job posting a lot of the breakdowns and schedules and news on his Twitter account. Follow him at the Chris Samsa on Twitter. So moving on to the next match, we had the double tag title match, IWGP tag title, NJPW Strong Openweight tag team title match, 4-way elimination tornado match. We have new champions, TMDK achieve the boyhood dream. Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols defeat Chase Owens and Kenta, ELP Hikuleo, and Bishamon in, what's the match time here? Well, they eliminated, GOD got eliminated 6 minutes and 27 seconds, and then Bullet Club was eliminated 11 minutes and 19 seconds.
Yeah, so I knew that the match was 4-way. I guess I just didn't pick up on the fact that it was tornado tag style rules. So.
Yeah, remember last week we were talking about, we like the ECW style.
Yeah, but I've never seen ECW do when they did the 4-way dance back in the day. It wasn't with tag teams, so I wasn't thinking about that aspect of it necessarily. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Plus, I think, and I could be wrong here, but when I think about the famous match where it was like Pitbull number 2, Shane Douglas, Too Cold, and Chris Jericho, I don't think it was, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think it was tornado tag. I think you still had to tag into that match.
Gotcha.
Maybe I'm wrong on that.
It might have been,
But the match was really good. It was, pretty wild. The fact that you had all 8 guys going at the same time, it could have really dealt, fallen apart in a lot of different ways. And I thought they did a good job of keeping the action going without falling too deeply into the different tropes that you see when it comes to like 4-way or my dog's freaking out or a triple threat. Jeremy, you take over 1 second.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I thought the match was good. I think having the tornado style match really kind of helped it keep it fast paced. I hate the whole WWE thing where you have 2 teams just sitting on the apron and one guy from each team outside. And so I think when you do with that style, it's kind of convoluted, and those end up breaking out into like a tornado style anyway. So you might as well just do tornado from the beginning. I think the match flows better. You got guys going in and out. It's fast paced, and I think it's more enjoyable to watch, in my opinion, than the kind of like the WWE style version of this.
It just depends. I mean, they're just 2 different flavors of the same treat. But, when you've got a tornado style match and you've got this many bodies, it could easily turn into like an anarchy in the rules sort of breakdown. And it didn't quite end up there. I think they still kept a pretty good structure to the match. And, within pretty short succession, we started seeing the eliminations and, there was a lot of criticism about the handling of the tag division up to this point. Maybe some of that is warranted, but as you and I had pointed out, part of the reason why there was some hot potatoing of these 2 tag belts leading to the booking of this match was that if certain teams had failed to win their title matches, it would have negated their claim to being able to be in this match. And, take that with a grain of salt. I mean, whether you think all four teams needed to be here, or whether they even needed to have a four-way to consolidate these belts on this card, depends what your stance is. Nonetheless, I thought it was effective because on the one hand, obviously TMDK's never held the gold, and it's been a long, drawn-out process. And then here they are on the same night, defeating each of these guys, and not in a fluky way, not in the way where like when Juice won his four-way match in Chicago a couple years ago, and it was like, I beat all these, Tanahashi and Mox and Ospreay on the same night, but like he only got a fluke pinfall over one of them. This is a little different. Like, you have to run the gauntlet and outlast each and every single one of these guys, so it makes the win a little bit more definitive. And then obviously the team that has defined the division for the past few years is Bishamon. I saw certain people out there saying like, well, why couldn't we just get Bishamon and TMDK from the get-go? Because that's really the match that matters, and that's the passing the torch that needs to occur anyways. And they still kind of facilitated that in this match anyways, because it came down to those two teams. Team DK got the clean pinfall win here and sort of solidified themselves over each of these teams. I do know that one of the big talking points coming out of the match was GOD getting eliminated so quickly, and then they, kind of leaned it a little bit into dissension between Hikuleo and ELP. And, obviously we'll get to it, but there's, news reports about what the fallout of that whole thing is going to be as it comes to Hikuleo.
Yeah, so TMDK, they eliminated GOD first, and ELP, he was going for the sudden death. I think it was on Nichols. He ducks. He ends up hitting Hikuleo, which allows TMDK to hit the tank buster onto Hikuleo to get the pin. And so also there was some tension there with Hikuleo and ELP. ELP, apologizing for hitting him with the sudden death, and he was mad at ELP. And it looked like, ELP was like saying, you can hit me back. It was an accident. And so a lot of tension there in the back with them. And I saw a little bit of the backstage promo where it seemed like Hikuleo kind of like walked out on him there at the end. And so we can briefly talk about it now. Cassidy Haynes from BuySlam.net reported this morning that Hikuleo's final date was Dominion, June 9th, and he spoke to sources within the company, and it's believed that he is headed to WWE to presumably join the current Bloodline story. I know F4W Online did a follow-up report on it on their website as well, so it does seem like Hikuleo is out, and he is headed to join the Bloodline universe.
Just want to throw this out there. Dan Coffin, if you're still watching, this is not a concoction filled with alcohol. This is water.
You need the opposite of the private party shirt. This is water.
This is water. 164 ounces strong today, boy. Yeah. We got a question from Lee Chang Bay in regards to this topic here.
Yes, as Hikuleo will be leaving New Japan after Dominion's show to join his brothers in the WWE. What was your favorite Hikuleo match or moment? Also, does New Japan own the GOD trademark and license? What happens to ELP now?
I don't know who owns that, but I would assume New Japan probably does. In a certain sense, it's probably a positive for ELP. But at the same time, like they sort of, put him in that whole entire GOD group. They all fucking went to WWE without him. Now he's just by himself again. So I don't know. I guess technically he's Hantai, but yeah, kind of interesting. As far as like favorite Hikuleo match, for me, the one that kind of stands out, probably the match where he beat Jay White to send, to the first time that Jay White wasn't allowed to come back to the company, and then they gave the shine to Eddie Kingston afterwards and kind of negated what Hikuleo had accomplished. But most of the reason I like that match, honestly, and I'm not trying to be a hater, but like a lot of it's on Jay White. I thought Jay White was phenomenal in that match, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of favorite Hikuleo. I'm a fan of Hikuleo, but I don't have like a lot of great matches. I guess the end them and Bishamon at the end of this last year's tag tournament was really, really good too. And that's probably another standout moment.
Yeah, his highest rated match on a cage match right now is them against Bishamon from December 10th of last year. So yeah, I feel like his tag stuff was a lot of the better stuff that he's done. But I agree with you. I think from a singles standpoint, I would say that the Jay White match is probably one of his better matches. But it also does kind of be head scratching to a point that King of the North is making in the comments. He says a favorite Hikuleo moment was him beating all the young guys and beating 2A in last year's G1 to lose to Evil in the quarterfinals, not because it's good, because it was ridiculous. And so yeah, that's kind of one of those head scratching moments. It's like, all right, you know, you have this guy, he has a limited contract, he's potentially, there's rumors he's going to leave, and instead of investing in Umino or Tsuji, Narita, one of these young guys, they pushed Hikuleo through into that quarterfinal spot instead of pushing one of the Reiwa guys through, and it's like, all right, and now he's gone. So
yeah.
But back to the tag title match. Yeah, so TMDK, they eliminate GOD, and then you had Bishamon eliminating Bullet Club, which brought it down to what people really wanted to see, TMDK versus Bishamon, and eventually they hit the Tank Buster on Bishamon to get the win there. So TMDK, they accomplished a dream here. You know, the commentators say, you know, they're the greatest team to never hold the IWGP tag team titles until they finally capture those belts. They're double champions, and so I think they're the third team now to hold both sets of titles. So overall, really good match, really good closing stretch there.
I think they're the fourth.
Probably. I don't have the stats in front of me.
I mean, I'm just thinking of it. I know Bishamon did it, and Aussie Open did it, and I'm pretty sure that God 2.0 did it. So I think this is the fourth team.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it'd be the fourth team.
Belts.
Yeah. So yeah, so good stuff there for TMDK. I think a lot of people really wanted to see them win the titles. I know there was a report that potentially Shane Hayes' New Japan contract was up, but seemed like he's sticking around. I mean, he's on the poster for Capital Collision, won the tag titles here, so I think he'll be probably around through the remainder of the year. But yeah, it's a really good tag team title match here. So
yeah, and the crowd was happy about it. So.
Oh yeah, the crowd was really into this. So then following that, we had the never openweight title match, the Dragon Shingo Takagi versus Hanare. They went to a double knockout in 14 minutes and 35 seconds.
I really liked this match too. I was a little surprised at how much praise I saw heaped on the earlier TV title match, and a lot less so for this match for whatever reason. I'm not sure, because to me, I thought they were very similar in a lot of respects, and not too far off one another. I mean, I thought they were about equal in quality, honestly. Obviously, there was a non-finish here, so maybe that hurts it in the eyes of some people. But the only real negative I had for the match was going to a double KO at the 14-minute mark. While the match was really good and hard-hitting, and they showed a lot of fighting spirit and everything, and they got their shit in, I didn't feel necessarily that the double KO was so earned at that point. Like, I know they were hitting their finishes and doing a lot of crazy strike exchanges, but the idea that they were just totally spent in 14 minutes, I don't know if the violence and the work rate was up to snuff to warrant the double KO, if that makes sense.
Right, and we've seen these guys have longer wars in the past. You know, that they had the ultimate triad match. We've seen these guys have wars and throw bigger shots. So yeah, the whole double KO at 14 minutes, I think it wasn't built up to what it could have been, maybe if they went longer. And, you know, I thought the match was great, but for me, like, the double KO is not so much like, also it's non-finish. I get what they're doing, but the reason why I didn't like the double KO was because I felt like this was Hanare's time. Dominion, second biggest show of the year. This man literally split his wig for this company. You know, this man almost died in the ring for this business, and you're back here in the same city where you guys had split, and one of his great rivals in Shingo, a title he's been chasing his whole career. Like, I felt like it was the perfect moment to finally crown him and have him win. And I get they wanted to set up the rematch that's happening this coming Sunday at New Japan Seoul, but I feel like Never Title is one where Shingo could have just said, I want a rematch, and they could have just ran it back on Sunday if they want to. I felt like this was the time to crown Hanare. I kind of feel bad for him. I'm like, this man literally got his head split. He's been working so hard for this company. They couldn't give him this shining great moment. I feel like it would have been a bigger deal here than would be winning come Sunday.
Jeremy's talking about this man getting split to the white meat.
Yes, this man got split to the white meat. What is Mark Henry's thing? Somebody gonna get the head split. Like that's what happened to this man. This man got his head split in that dog pound cage match. They had to tape that man's head back together. Gnarly scar, almost died in the ring, and they couldn't let this man get a big win over Shingo in the same city on the second biggest show of the year.
Well, just hold on, Jeremy. I mean, they might be giving you a little bit of delayed gratification, right? They're just edging you right now, but they're gonna pay it off later. You don't know. We'll see. I kind of agree with you. I mean, it's not like it's the Never title. It's not like it's not like anybody's ever had like a really prolonged reign with tons of title defenses. I mean, that's not really what this title's for. So, it's not like there's some sort of like sanctity that needs to be upheld here. I get it.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that they would go with Hanare here, and I was a little surprised they didn't. But I feel like it's okay. We saw some other title changes, and I'm not 100% convinced we're not still going to see a Hanare title change down the line. Now, if it's a situation where I'm playing WWE fan saying like, let it play out, and it doesn't play out, well, then this complaint is totally valid because, you have to wonder. I mean, we've been watching this guy Hanare since, the genesis of this show. And when is it going to be his time,
Yeah, seriously. But overall, the match was great, though. I mean, Hanare was kicking the crap out of Shingo. Some really hard kicks to the chest and to the back. Shingo doing a lot of power strikes and lariats and stuff like that as well. So really good back and forth there. And then towards the end, Hanare hit the Streets of Rage, but he was too tired to get the cover there. And so Shingo eventually got up, and then Shingo hit the Made in Japan, and then they were both two down, and then they fired up, started trading strike exchanges, headbutts, and then they did some more headbutts there to the end, which got them both on their feet, or both off their feet, and the refs counting for 10, and they don't get up, and we get the double KO. So overall, great match. Would have loved to see Hanare get the win, though.
Baseball fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Pick any area of the strike zone and take your best swing. If you get a single, double, triple, or home run, you'll receive a prize. Smash a home run to collect a bonus bet on us. Just log into your BetMGM Sports account to get started. Then visit your promotions section to access the Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. You'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. There's nothing more exciting than going yard, so swing for the fences with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Iowa only. Existing customer offers. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary depending on market and expire 24 hours from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Our bodies come in different shapes and sizes, so doesn't it make sense that our weight loss plans should too? That's the beauty of Noom. They build a personal plan that factors in dietary restrictions, medical issues, and other personal needs so your plan works for you. Noom doesn't restrict or shame when you want to treat yourself. Their flexible program focuses on progress instead of perfection. You don't have to give up carbs or anything. And with their daily lessons, you can learn something new about your food choices every day. After just a few days of using the app, I learned how to recognize cues for overeating and how to choose the right foods to feel full. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. And check out Noom's first ever cookbook, The Noom Kitchen, for 100 healthy and delicious recipes to promote better living. Available to buy now wherever books are sold.
And so that takes us to the semi-main event.
Nope. Double main event.
Double
All
main
right.
evento.
Double main evento.
Oh, actually, one last thing about the Never title match. I did love the VTR.
Nope, you already said it. We've got to move on.
I did love the VTR. They actually, used the whole like Never abbreviation in like Hanare's part of the VTR. So I thought it was kind of cool, like bringing in the actual like definition of Never into it, and so I thought that was cool.
The acronym.
Yeah. But yeah, double main evento, main event one here for the
It's a semi-main event.
IWGP World Heavyweight Title Lumberjack Death Match. Jon Moxley defeats Evil 25 minutes and 1 second.
Jeremy, last week you were advocating that this was the right call for a variety of reasons, and I've been burned so many times by the bullshit that is House of Torture that I just was not really willing to even hear that argument. Just believing that no gimmick could really negate the bullshit regardless. Like, you're gonna get it. That's just what it is. And I was very wrong, because this gimmick match essentially virtually nullified almost any and everything that House of Torture would wind up doing, because they were so involved in the match itself. It really prevented them from being able to, halt the match and delve into the House of Torture shenanigans. I think that two big parts of that probably have a lot to do with Moxley having his own enforcers, with the New Japan dads and Shooter being there, kind of even the odds. And then probably the fact that, Jon Moxley this is not new to him, these Western tactics. I mean, he's run the gamut. He's gone through that a million times before. So it's nothing new. It's not something he's not used to. And for that reason, the match now, was it a purist delight? No, but this is one of the best Evil main event style matches in years. And it's because the gimmick allowed for them to kind of lean in to the hardcore wrestling and to the outside interference and kind of incorporate it into the match, as opposed to detracting from the match. And it ended up being really fun. And yeah, if you would have told me that I would enjoy a 25-minute Evil Jon Moxley match, I would have said you're lying. I didn't think Evil was going to win here, but there was still that like 25% chance that you just never know. It's possible. Mm-hmm. This week, I kind of got clued in a little bit more about what's kind of going on with the Jon Moxley trajectory. Some stuff clicked for me, and I sort of knew Evil probably wasn't going to win here, but you just never know. But I thought the match really worked, and I thought it was way better than I could have ever hoped for it to be. And I mean, for me, in this title run of Jon Moxley, this is, for me, easily the second best defense that he's had of the title. In fact, best match of the entirety of the run. That includes the match with where he won the title from Naito. I thought this was better than that too.
I think I like the Umino match better than this, but I really
No. This was his second best match.
Yeah.
Behind the Umino match.
Yeah, I really enjoy this match, and I felt it's kind of like what I was saying last week. Like, everybody's already out there. Like, it's no disqualification, so the run-ins and the interference make sense because they're allowed to do it. And I thought, yeah, like you mentioned, it played into what House of Torture does, and it makes sense because there are no rules. It's a lumberjack death match. Like, you can have guys running around, and Moxley has his guys there as well. So I thought everything played out well. I thought, it's going to be a surprise to fans. I thought Evil will play his role great in this match. He was that, dirtbag heel you want to see boo. He was doing the Anaconda Vice in front of Tenzan. He was doing the Nagata Lock number 2 in front of Nagata. And so, just being a dirtbag, crowd booing him. Oh, before the match, they spray painted, was it Kadani in the face with the black spray paint. So these guys were getting heat, and I felt like it was actually good heat here. And so you had all that doing it in front of the legends. And of course, it had all the shenanigans. You had Dick Togo running out with the garrote wire, throwing powder in Jon Moxley's face. And then you just had these guys going back and forth from the outside. And so really good action there. They did the Shield powerbomb to Jon Moxley through a table, which was pretty funny. They had a spot there where they were whipping Jon Moxley with a belt, all 5 of House of Torture. And I felt like Mox gave Evil a receipt when he was whipping him with the belt. So yeah, really great back and forth action there. Then towards the end, Moxley got the barbed wire baseball bat. He was going to use it on Evil. Evil had a pen, jabbed it in his eye. Mox at the diamond cutter to come back, grabs the barbed wire, hits him with it, hits the Death Rider on the barbed wire bat. 1, 2, 3. Jon Moxley retains the title.
One thing that's trippy right now. So I wanted to see how many people were actually live viewing us, because the way it's set up, I think you can see, but I can't see it. So I jumped on my phone and jumped into the thing. So I'm a live, I'm a live viewer, so I'm juking our stats, but it's on a delay. So I'm doing it, and then I'm looking, and it's there's a few seconds delay. So it's I'm watching myself. It's fucking trippy shit. We did have a question in the comments. Thank you, Dunstan Williams. A question for later, but who should the 2 picks for the G1 spots be? So I thought that was an interesting thing. I don't know if we want to touch on that now or later.
We can touch on it real quick. Yeah, I think it's really hard to tell when we don't know who's all locked into those first 9 spots. Once we see who's in A1 through 9 and B1 through 9, then I can get a better idea of all right, who should be the last 2 guys in there.
My whole thing about it is 2 guys are going to fight their way to get into the tournament, right? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be a situation where they run this, whole tournament scenario to get in only to be one of the bottom rung people? Or is it going to be a situation where they earn the spot and then they're in and then they excel? I'm not saying they need to win or be a finalist, but they have a respect, could it be let's say, I'll just throw a name out there, Suji, right? Suji gets the extra spot and then does well, or Uemura. It's probably a more apt one. He gets in. Once he gets in, you don't want to see him be the guy that's 3 and 6 or whatever.
Right, yeah.
You want them to do well, and I'm wondering is this going to be a tournament just to determine the biggest loser in each block? I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully not. We had some questions here on the Royal title match. Dr. Lariat says, with how over Evil was at the show and the crowd getting behind him and his antics, do you think it's time for him to get respect again?
What? I don't know, man. I did think that there clearly was a split crowd between Jon Moxley and Evil, and this kind of existed even in the lead up to it. So there does seem to be some sort of sentiment between those that support Evil or those that saw him as representing New Japan as being an actual domestic guy versus Jon Moxley, who is an outsider. But I think that there's a lot of different types of fandoms at play here, a lot of different, cross intersection views and fan viewpoints. So it's hard to say, but I don't know, man. I don't see it as Evil being super over. That's not really the read I'm getting on it. And I feel as far as even going into the stuff that Tanahashi pointed out in that 10-point, and we'll talk about it, but the address statement, the very fact that they're even having to say that the domestic audience has a dissatisfaction with the product due to the antics from House of Torture tell me kind of everything that I need to know. And at the same time, of course, Evil does have some level of cachet. I mean, former LIJ guy, he's been popular in the past. He's headlined. So I don't think it's as simple as saying like he's over or he's not over. I think it's kind of a muddled thing. But I mean, for me, it's not something where I'm like, he's a guy they need to push because, you know, because the audience had a good reaction to him in this one slanted scenario.
Yeah, I felt like this match was like the perfect scenario for him. I think it played to his strengths, and I thought he was really good on this night in this situation. But yeah, I don't think it's something that you can't do a lumberjack match every night for him. Like there's going to be, he's going to have to wrestle regular matches. And I think that, yeah, like you mentioned, Tanahashi addressed the whole interference thing. And so they might be toning that down, which might not be great for him in the long run. And so, yeah, I don't think it's like a whole, like, at the very base, I think that Evil Watanabe knows the basics of wrestling and is a good wrestler. He's in New Japan. But the House of Torture gimmick and the interference has really muddled down his matches and overall just the quality, you know, of main events and big shows. And so, but in a match like this, I think it works. But it's not something you can do all the time and have it in the world title picture all the time.
Yeah, agreed.
Stale Burger Bun says, assuming Mox loses to Naito at Forbidden Door. So I guess we should mention that post-match, Mox did give a open challenge, anybody to come out and challenge him. Tetsuya Naito came out and accepted the challenged him for Forbidden Door. The match was made official today on Twitter. So it is Moxley versus Naito. So Stale Burger Bun says, assuming Moxley loses to Naito at Forbidden Door, what was the point of his title reign? Do you think it helped get anyone over?
I guess, is it time to talk about this?
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I mean, okay. So if you're a longtime listener, you've been listening to the show, you kind of know my standpoint on the whole thing with Mox, where I was sort of always saying that I felt like he needed to be the guy that facilitated putting over one of the future stars, because they set him up as this sort of like prize, right? And they could really give that rub or give that shine to one of the younger guys by really overcoming him and kind of solidifying themselves. And that's what I thought they were doing here. But the one thing that was pointed, and I don't remember which show I was listening to, so I'm not 100% sure who said it. I want to say it was probably the guys from We Work Stiff a while back, was basically this. They pointed out that at Wrestle Kingdom, you still need to have the biggest match from a marketing like from a money standpoint that you possibly could. And it's probably going to involve Naito. How do we get to Naito being in the main event at Wrestle Kingdom if he's just away from the title picture for the rest of the year? And the only way that, if he's not going into that match as champion, that means he has to win the G1. And it doesn't seem likely that he's going to repeat and win the G1 again. Thus, he probably needs to regain the title sometime between now and Wrestle Kingdom. And yeah, once you put it that way, and that's a harsh truth I've kind of known about, but I've sort of stayed away from it because I still was holding out hope that maybe we would wind up with a Jon Moxley shooter scenario or something of that nature. And now, this week, before this show even occurred, I had already come to terms with the fact that we were probably getting Naito and Jon Moxley at Forbidden Door, even before this challenge was thrown out there. And once that happened, it put everything into perspective for me, where I was like, oh, okay, we're going back to Naito. And what this title reign does, and there are things to complain about it, but there are positives about it as well. Couple things. Jon Moxley worked with the young guys in a way that none of the other tenured talent in New Japan were willing to do. Even if he didn't put them over, I'm sure he would have been willing to. That's just not what creative had in mind, but he still worked with them and kind of gave them that rub. So there's that. Number two, they still want to go with Naito, but Naito probably can't handle a championship schedule these days. So this title change facilitated an opportunity for him to have a break between April and, July, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, too, is it allows during that period, they kind of knew that once they got past Sakura Genesis and got into this time of the year, they really only needed a couple domestic title defenses, and they already had all these big Western shows lined up, and it just fits perfectly for Jon Moxley being a big draw in the West to help bolster business in the West during that time frame, and then still come and do respectable business in Japan. And then you got Super Juniors tour. The champion's not part of that anyways. It's sort of the perfect pocket for him to be there, to get in the lineage, help them at a time where business hasn't been the best, to really bolster those Western market shows. And they popped some houses. They really did make a lot of money on those shows, especially the ones in California and Chicago. And then now he's going to turn around and they're going to do Forbidden Door. And you've got another marquee match for Forbidden Door. And he's going to lay down in AEW for Tetsuya Naito, which is something that's extremely rare. I mean, Jon Moxley has very rarely lost any singles matches in AEW or stateside at all. And that's going to be a big boost to New Japan. A lot of people always ask what's in it for New Japan when it comes to this partnership. And we're about to see, arguably the closest thing that AEW has to an ace do a clean job for the biggest star in New Japan to reestablish his title reign just before the G1. So is it exactly what I wanted? No, not necessarily, but I do think there's some positives that came out of it. And was the goal and the aim to use this title reign to transition to one of the Reiwa guys? No, it was not, but it did bolster those guys. It did big business, and it gave Naito a chance to rest. Now we're going back to Naito. And I think chances are now, with kind of refreshed eyes, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just my prediction right now. I think Zack Sabre Jr. is probably going to win the G1 as the second Westerner. I think we're going to get Zack Sabre Jr. versus Naito at Wrestle Kingdom. And I'm not going to be surprised if we end up with Moxley and Umino in the Dome, non-title. And that's where Umino, he doesn't win the title there, but he gets the big definitive win over his mentor. That's just my prediction right now.
That's a good piece of booking there, but I agree with you overall on the title run. I think we all knew that Naito winning it back was a possibility, but I think it wasn't the possibility the universe we wanted. We wanted a universe where a young guy would have beaten Moxley for the title, and I know Naito's the biggest star, but I think, especially with Wrestle Kingdom being on Saturday this year, I think you could have run Moxley in the main event and you do Moxley Umino for the title. But also, I do think that I always thought there was a chance that Naito could get it back, do the big return match in Forbidden Door, and get the belt back. So overall, I think the title run, it was good for business. You look at some of those U.S. dates. I know people want to complain, why is Moxley champ? But New Japan ran a lot of U.S. dates in the first quarter of the year, leading in the second quarter, and Windy City Riot sellout. Look at that California show. They did some good business with Jon Moxley drawing the champion. This show here, Dominion, was up a little bit from last year's show, so and being a semi-main event. So I feel like overall, Mox was a good draw. Like you mentioned, he actually worked with Narita, he worked with Umino, and kind of worked with the young guys. And he showed up for a lot more than say Kenny Omega did when he was U.S. champion. So he made the important dates and he was there. So overall, what I have loved for Umino.
He might have in some cases shown up more for tours as IWGP champion than Kenny Omega did when he was IWGP champion.
Yeah. So overall, what I have loved, Umino to had win the belt from him at the Dome. Yeah, but when you look at the lay of the land and how things play out, I think obviously Naito is still the top domestic star. like we work stiff and you were saying, you probably want him in the Tokyo Dome main event. So I can see him. Yeah, I think it makes more sense for him to be champion than him to win the G1. And yeah, I think that opens the door for, like you mentioned, a guy like Zack Sabre Jr. Or like we've been saying, like maybe Umino wins. And maybe you do Umino versus Naito and have Umino have that first big Tokyo Dome main event challenge.
It could be Umino. It could be Tsuji. It could be Zach. I think those are probably the three leading candidates at this point in time, probably.
Yeah. See, we also had a question here from Reddit user Red Bear Hugh. With Naito challenging Mox and no match announced yet for Claudio, Bryan, and Wheeler, could you see LIJ versus BCC for the number 6 at Forbidden Door? I think it would be a great way to introduce Tsuji to the wider Western audience.
Probably not. I mean, maybe if Wheeler Yuta's in there, because then he could be the pin eater, but I was going to say probably not, because it'd be hard for me to imagine LIJ going over BCC clean at Forbidden Door. But maybe with Wheeler Yuta there to eat the pinfall. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so, because BCC has been really feuding with CMLL guys. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to be
that's true.
It's going to be Bryan Danielson versus Mystico. I don't have any sources on that, but just based on where you're going, you look at who's like the top CMLL guy, who's the top guy that Bryan can wrestle. I feel like it could be Bryan versus Mystico at Forbidden Door.
Interesting.
And then you could do, Claudio and Wheeler have been teaming. Maybe you do those two against, I don't know, Bishamon or somebody. I don't know. But I don't think the Never Sixes are going to be at Forbidden Door. All right. Any final thoughts on this world title match before we move on to the main event?
No, we can move on to the Best of the Super Juniors 31 finals.
Yep, so we had El Desperado finally winning the big one here, defeating the Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori, 23 minutes and 36 seconds.
I thought it was a very, very good finals match. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that it was great, like greatness levels of Super Juniors that we've seen in the past, but very good. The crowd was very heavily invested in it. I think the marketing behind the importance of the match with the stage and it being in Dominion and it being in Osaka-jo Hall and everything like that was not lost on the audience. I loved Ishimori coming out in the all white shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big match white gear.
Yeah, he got the white gear like he's Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12. So that was cool. And the match was really, really good, and it got great down the stretch. I don't have too much to add there, like as far as breakdown goes. I guess technically either guy could have won and it would have made sense, but it was hard to deny the fact that like this was Desperado's time. They've denied him the Super Juniors in the past, and he's been the key guy bolstering the division for many years now, and this was sort of one of those things that had just eluded him, and it was way past due. So it for me, it was a foregone conclusion. I knew he was going to win the match, and some good action. It was a body part match, as you would assume it would be between these two guys. And ultimately Desperado hit him with his super combo with the fucking Tiger Driver 97 and then the Pinche Loco, and he got the win.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was a great matchup. I'm like 4.5 on it.
Oh, shit. You're a lot higher than I am.
Yeah, I don't know. It was the stage, the presentation.
It was a long show, too. So part of me is like, maybe I was a little bit fatigued at that point.
Yeah, I did watch the show in parts. Like, I watched like the opening of the show up until the Mox match, like before church, and then I finished the show after church. So maybe that split kind of helped me get more into those last few matches. But I really enjoyed this matchup, and like you mentioned, it was the story of the body parts. Also, Ishimori worked over the shoulders to set up the bone lock, and then Desperado working over the knees to try and set up the Pinche Loco. But I felt like Ishimori really turned it up here. He's a guy that kind of has a reputation of like not going fully hard, but he was busting out everything here. He did the big triangle moonsault to the outside, landing on the feet. He did the sliding German, that used to be like one of his staples that he doesn't really do much anymore, and he busted that out. And so I feel like in between the body work, they were hitting a lot of their big signature spots throughout the match and a lot of high flying. They removed the guardrails in honor of it still being the Super Junior final. So, you had Despy doing the tope suicida con hello to the outside. So hitting all their big stuff, like you mentioned towards the end. Despy hits the J Driller into the Pinche Loco to get the win. And you did have a spot towards the end where like Ishimori had the ref. He got bumped a little bit, and he was able to utilize a low blow for a near fall. And then Despy returned the favor with a closed hand right fist. So, yeah, overall, I think a really good match. The crowd was really into it. And, yeah, I thought for these two guys on this stage, it was as good as you can get. So, really enjoyed it.
Yep. Post-match, we did have Show come out and talk shit, and him and Desperado kind of jaw-jacking back and forth. And then essentially, I don't know, I can't paraphrase exactly what was said, but Show seemed to allude to the fact that when they do fight, that he won't need House of Torture to beat Desperado. And Desperado basically said, if that's the case, then why don't you defend the title against me one-on-one inside of a steel cage? That way, there's no chances that House of Torture would interfere, which pretty much guarantees that House of Torture is probably going to interfere.
Yeah, Dick Togo scale in the cage.
something, who knows? But I don't even know if they're actually going to do a cage match. I don't know if they were going to.
They are doing cage match.
Okay, because like I said earlier in the show, I haven't delved too much into the schedule here or anything like that. But that was kind of the last, high point of the night, and Desperado stands tall, got the confetti, got the gold trophy, and
flag,
all that shit.
Yeah. I got a question here from Rambo, and says, he says, we're so back / it's so over meter. Where are you guys sitting after Dominion? I'm leaning more on the we're so back after actually enjoying an evil match, 2 strong style hoss fights, an incredible main event, and a pretty decent undercard.
I would say yes. I thought that this match to me felt, I don't want to be hyperbolic about it and say oh my God, New Japan is fucking back. I don't want to do all that. But I see people out there talking shit, and some of it's earned. I get it. But a lot of people that want to talk shit are not watching the show. And when you watch a show like this, to me, I don't know. I felt like this was very likely maybe New Japan's show of the year at this point. It's hard to say, but it was up there. There was nothing that was truly bad. I mean, everything was good to great. Even if I'm a little bit lower on a few of the matches than the general consensus, I mean, there's no denying that the show was quality across the board. And it wasn't just about match quality. There was really good creative booking decisions, a lot of fresh directions. It felt like a real restart. I know that they've done that in the past at Dominion, but it felt like a lot of the complaints that the fan base has had about the creative going back to the first and second quarter of the year has kind of been rectified to some extent. And this show sort of highlighted a lot of that. So I thought it was a really great show. And I feel like hopefully they will continue this trend, and we will see a much better second half of the year than the first. And another thing too is I think one thing that people were sort of lamenting was the potential of what the G1 might look like. And once they announced the blocks and the features and everything, that added an element of excitement to the product. So I felt like that was another feather in the hat for the show. Plus the announcement of all these different tour dates. I thought this was a really, really good show.
Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the show. Thought it was a great show from top to bottom. Obviously, not the best Dominion in history, but thought it was really good. I'm on that. Yeah, we're so back meter, closer to that end there. And yeah, really good stuff. I thought it set some good stuff up for the future. They actually, we'll talk about it here in a second. This New Japan Soul Tour, they've added a lot of stakes to that. This show coming up on Sunday, we have a bunch of title matches. And then for the rest of the tour, we have the G1 qualifier. So, historically, this tour has been New Japan Road. And normally, road to road. Normally, you would get your G1 announcements and stuff like that. And that was kind of the highlight of Road. But now they've added, they've changed the name. And you have all these title matches coming Sunday. you have the qualifiers, you have the block announcements. Like, I don't know, it feels like New Japan's heating up for summer.
Yeah, so any final thoughts about the show, or you want me to move on to Seoul?
Yeah, let's talk about New Japan Seoul.
All right, so we've got night one of the New Japan Seoul Tour coming up Sunday, June 16th, live on New Japan World. I'm going to go through the card here. So we do have a kickoff Young Lion debut match as Masatoru Yasuda will take on Daiki Nagai. So we had some people reached out to us recently and asked if we knew anything about these guys. And my whole thing was like, they're Japanese. I don't know. Can't really tell you much more about them. Quick rundown. So for these two young lions, born in Mexico and raised from the age of 3 in Sapporo, 175 centimeters, Yasuda is actually a second-generation wrestler, the son of Luchador Zambito. Initially accepted into the dojo in 2020, the 24-year-old sustained an injury and withdrew from the dojo before refocusing in 2022 and now making his home prefecture debut. And then the 21-year-old Nagai, 170 centimeters, 84 kilograms, debuts after joining the dojo in April 2023. Nagai graduated high school in his home of Kawasaki before joining the Japan Self-Defense Forces. His military training preparing him for the rigors of the wrestling ring. How will these two fare at the beginning of their pro wrestling journey? So a little bit of backstory there. So we've got two new debutees. That's always exciting. We're always heavily invested in the Young Lions, so we'll check that out. That's probably going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that they've got a good chance, depending on how good they are, to kind of lap the seniors that are in front of them, because they're okay, but they're not progressing at the rate of some of the lines we've seen in the past. So
yeah.
Speaking of those guys, you got Katsuya Murashima, Shoma Kato, and Tomoaki Hanma teaming with Tomohiro Ishii and Satoshi Kojima to take on the team of Cal Newman, Akira, Great Okan, Jeff Cobb, and TJP. So Francesco Akira back, which I wasn't expecting him back so soon.
Yeah, same here. But I mean, New Japan announced this on the website, so I guess thankfully the knee injury wasn't too bad, and he's good to go.
Is the website back up?
I mean, the medium. Medium.
Okay, so we're going to see Francesco Akira return from injury before the New Japan website is fixed. Cool. Next match, we got Doki and Taichi teaming up to take on Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Ren Narita. Following that, Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, and Shota Umino take on Dick Togo, Yujiro, and Evil. We have a team of Titan and Naito taking on Taka Michinoku and Yuya Uemura. And then getting into the title matches, we have the Never Openweight 6-man tag team titles on the line as the champions, the LIJ Trio, defend the title against the former champions Yano, Tanahashi, and Oleg Boltin. The Never title is on the line as Shingo Takagi defends against Hanare. As well, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles on the line as the Bullet Club War Dog team of Clark Connors and Joe Maloney defend against Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles. Semi-main event, you've got the IWGP Global Heavyweight title on the line as David Finlay defends against Sonata. And then your main event, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, will be defended as Sho defends against the Best of Super Junior winner El Desperado in a steel cage match. First time juniors in a steel cage in New Japan. So pretty interesting stuff here.
Yeah, this is a stacked card here. I was not expecting them to go this loaded on this first night of New Japan Seoul, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 title matches here, and Young Lions debut. We're going to get the G1 participant announcements, the qualifier announcement. So this is going to be a really big show come Sunday. So I expect Desperado to defeat Sho there in the main event to win the championship. I don't know what Finlay and Sonata. I think that one can go either way.
There had been that speculation where folks, prior to the Naito Moxley announcement, people had sort of expected Naito to sort of go after Finlay, and it didn't really pan out that way. So we haven't seen Sonata in a while. He was injured, right?
Yeah, he's got cleared recently.
I was wondering why David Finlay wasn't on Dominion. You know, him and Gabe Kidd both were kind of like the two glaring omissions from that show. But
well, Kid was on a Noah show that day.
No, I know he was, but they're both of their presences not being on the show were evident.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've seen David Finlay and Sonata before. I'm not super stoked on it, but I mean, I think it's probably a good rebound for Sonata after the year he's kind of had to kind of get back in a title picture. I think Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles have a really good shot winning the junior titles.
Yeah, I think I would put the belts on those guys. Freshen up the division, give them a little run with it going into G1 season. Would think would be cool.
And then you complained about Hanare and Shingo, but giving him another crack at the bat, I feel like this might be it. Well, yeah. I know I'm predicting a lot of title changes, but I think we're shifting titles here.
Yeah, and I knew this rematch was happening, but that's what I was saying. Like, I felt like Dominion was a bigger stage. You could have done the rematch here. Just say Shingo, hey, I want a rematch, and give Hanare his first defense here and win.
So what you're saying is you just want to complain.
Yes.
And then even some of the stuff on the undercards, with G1 coming up, I feel like some of those matches don't necessarily scream out as to why they're happening, other than I have to imagine, for instance, Naito and Uemura being opposite of one another. Why is that happening? There has to be some sort of reason. So I think that there's probably going to be some story elements and some teasers for the G1 kind of playing out in some of these matches.
Yeah, I know there are people speculating, with Tsuji pinning Tanahashi, could that be a potential G1 qualifier or some kind? They're in the same G1 block. Maybe they're building this whole kind of Tsuji Tanahashi rivalry. So yeah, I definitely think in these undercards, keep your eyes open, angle or breadcrumb storyline seeds to follow. I think a lot of the undercard stuff will lead into the playoffs and feuds to come in the summer and fall.
So I think that's going to do it for the preview for next week's show. Obviously, we'll be reviewing that here live as well on Saturday, June 15th. We have the UJPW All Together event from Sapporo. I'm assuming this is probably another Abema pay-per-view, right?
Yes, this is live on Abema pay-per-view. The proceeds are going to some charity.
Sure it is. The pre-show tag team match, we'll see Hanma and Yano team up to take on Andreza, the Giant Panda, and Tomoya. So, yeah, we're going to see New Japan guys fighting a giant blow-up inflatable panda from DDT. So that's cool. Just exactly what I wanted to see when I imagine all these companies working together, The opener of the show, though, we'll see Hayata, Ulka Sasaki, and Yu Owada take on the TMDK team of Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, and Zack Sabre Jr. Zack goes and Dreza fucking rules. All right, sicko. What's funny is Tony Khan says he books for the sickos, but this is the shit for the real sickos, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this and the Despy show today.
Yeah, the Despy Invitational is the real sicko show. Oh man. Third match of the night, Azumi versus Starlight Kid in singles action. That's probably gonna rule. Fourth match of the night, Daichi Hashimoto and Daisuke Sekimoto take on Bishamon. Fifth match of the night, Tomohiro Ishii and Masa Kitamiya. That's gonna rule. Mm-hmm. Sixth match of the night, Kazuda Gucci taking and United Empire team of Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb team up to take on Ryohei Oiwa, Shota Umino, and Tetsuya Endo. Seventh match of the night, Tanahashi, Miyahara, and Marufuji team up to take on the Just Five Guys team of Sonata, Taichi, and Yuya Uemura. Eighth match of the night, LIJ, Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, Titan, and Yota Tsuji will be facing the good-looking guys of Anthony Green, Jack Morris, and LJ Cleary, along with Bull Club War Dog members Clark Connors and Joel Maloney. The semi-main event, Bull Club War Dogs, David Finlay and Gabe Kidd, along with Yohei, will take on the All Rebellion team of Alejandro, Keito Kiyomiya, and Kano. And then your main event, we'll see Tetsuya Naito facing off against one Jake Lee.
Yep, so that is United Japan Pro Wrestling All Together Sapporo, a Beam Alive pay-per-view. It should be a fun show. Not so sure about that main event, but expect Naito to get the win there.
Yeah, and I with this being a Saturday-Sunday combo, I'm assuming we probably have enough time to watch both these shows if we decide we want to.
Yeah. Now we're going to move on to President Tanahashi's 10-point plan. So there was a media press conference on June 4th, and I got the condensed version of the notes here from our friend Chris Samsa at the Chris Samsa on Twitter, kind of going through the 10 points. So point number 1, talent discovery and development. Young Lions should wrestle more in high-level spots. Wrestlers still need to earn their spots in tournaments like the G1. And New Japan wants the best wrestlers in their early 20s in Japan. Point number 2, elevating the value of title belts. It's important to clarify the role and concept of each title. Strong titles will be defended on U.S. shows only. Going forward, the company acknowledges that the tag titles are about to be combined at Dominion. The process may take time. The company acknowledges that 13 titles may be challenging to follow. This process may take 12 to 18 months. Reducing/eliminating outside interference to determine that concrete penalties, but interference will be limited. A lot of talk of questions about whether House of Torture is the reason for this goal. The company acknowledges the fans' frustrations regarding House of Torture. The company acknowledges that pro wrestling is unique when it comes to wrestlers turning things in their favor any way they can. Point number 4, increasing the prominence and status of NJPW Hantai. Tanahashi wants Hantai to be a desired unit for young wrestlers or wrestlers returning from excursion. Strengthening ties with Stardom. Point number 5, Stardom will be owned by NJPW at the end of June. Look for improved operational efficiency, scheduling crossover events, and Stardom on NJPW events soon. Point number 6, strengthening ties with AEW. NJPW is happy with their relationship with AEW. There is the perception that New Japan is treated as a sub-brand or is looked down on by AEW. Some of that perception of NJPW being behind comes from the economics at the moment, but the truth of the matter is AEW's strengths and NJPW's strengths are different. From development of talent from scratch to a historical and traditional perspective. There's a lot of NJPW can offer that AEW cannot. There's a lot that we can do together, and while much of it isn't something we can discuss right now, there's a lot we will do, but the idea that NJPW is an inferior partner is not correct. We're absolutely on even footing, and there's something we'll prove in the near future. Point 7, improving the live fan experience. Ideas for different prices, pricing tiers, female-only seating sections, special food menus, and considering number of people in a box. Point number 8, improving NJPW World. Apologies for the clunky transition. Archive should be complete by the end of the year. Live viewing being fixed and improved. Point 9, improved treatment of personal information. Apologies for getting the USB drive stolen/lost. Plans are in place to keep data safe going forward. And then point number 10, NJPW sponsors. Thank you to the sponsors. So on point number 2 about getting rid of titles, we had a question here from Les Commission 7252. He says, during the press conference with Tanahashi last week, he talked about elevating the value of the belts. Has all New Japan belts felt less valuable through the early portion of the year? The World TV title, the Never Openweight title, and IWGP Junior Tag titles are the only belts that worth chasing for right now. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship has felt mediocre around Moxley. The Global Championship has already died after Nemeth won the belt and really defended it. The Junior Heavyweight title is on show, and that's already says enough. The IWGP Tag titles have been passed around from team to team with a dying division. Finally, the KOPW Championship is another version of the 24/7 Championship, but creative due to stipulation choice.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But I mean, all of that can be easily rectified. It's not like a end of the day sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. So any thoughts about it?
Said and breathe.
Yeah. I was trying to rattle through that pretty quickly there. So yeah, any thoughts? What are your thoughts on Tanahashi's whole 10-point, plan here?
Caught me off guard. I mean, the very fact that New Japan or management were even willing to acquiesce or acknowledge that these complaints or issues exist publicly and sort of address them, it's very different from anything that's the way that they've handled things like this in the past. You know, a lot of it's always just been very internalized, not really so much public facing when it comes to these sorts of things, unless there's a real big screw up and then they have to do a public apology. But even that is like kind of, you know, obligatory service sort of thing. So I was a little surprised by it, to be completely honest. A lot of it to me is well intended, but I don't necessarily believe it's going to happen, because there's so many times that management in this company has said that something is going to happen in a particular way, and then it just never comes to pass. It doesn't work out that way. And so I think that if some of this happens, that would be good. I think it's overly ambitious, and it would be naive on our part to just assume, because they're saying that they're aware of all this, it's all going to happen, that just means magically, poof, it's all going to take place. I don't know that that's actually the case at all. Some of it, to be honest with you, I don't know if they even necessarily should have said it publicly, you know. Some of it, I feel like they just should actively take action and address it, and then, you know, from like it after the fact, be like, we did this. This is what we did. It's taken care of. And then you're like, oh shit, they're doing shit. But now instead, it's like they've come out and they're saying like, you know, we're gonna create a fan seat for women to protect them. I'm like, well, why are you saying you have plans to do it? Just fucking do it, and then tell us about it. And then we're like, oh, okay, they're doing some really good things, you know. And instead, now they've got this obligation to do it, and if they don't follow through, then it's like, okay, more failed promises, more, you know, lip service, but it's not quite what it needs to be. And, you know, it creates a perception of a company that's inept in some ways. Not, I don't think they want to be perceived that way. We don't want the company to be that way too.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do think some of the stuff is kind of already happening. You know, talent discovery. I think we've seen some young lions in different places. You know, Bolton Oleg. We see this new young lion starting on Sunday, who's, you know, born in Mexico. So I feel like they are getting some young new talent there. You know, partner with Stardom, we're gonna see another historic crossover later in the year. Yeah, so I feel like they're making some strides in some of this stuff here, but like you mean, I think there's some stuff where they could have said, wait until like, all right, we're introducing, like, once it's introduced the female section or whatever they're doing, and just like introduce it when it's done, instead of saying this is coming and then taking forever. Like the whole like reducing titles, like they're saying it's gonna take like a year to like reduce. Like that doesn't take a year. Like unify the tag titles are already on one team. Unify them. You know, do some unifications of other titles. Drop other titles. Like I think a lot of that stuff could be done quicker. So
yeah, I pretty much agree with that as well. You know, it just depends on your booking philosophy, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to take that long. You know, the New Japan World fan experience is one of the biggest, and the fact that the website just is non-existent at this point, and that is still that's a huge fucking. It wasn't addressed here, but that just feeds into what I'm talking about here. Like, it's a huge fucking embarrassment. The fact that their website doesn't work right now, they don't have a website, bro. We have a website.
Dude, I work for a nonprofit organization. Like, if our websites were like that bad, and like somebody, like heads would be rolling. Like somebody's like losing a job, or you're hiring.
Yeah, someone get fucking fired. Like, what are we doing here? It's a website, bro. Like, fix the website. You know, I know that times are tough and the yen is down, and you know the stock prices and you know the market prices of Bushi Road aren't the best in the world, but like you got money to fix a website, bro. Like it's a website. Fix your website, dude. Like, what are you doing? But you know, the New Japan World thing, it's like, okay, they're saying that the archives will be back up, and they apologize for the clunky transition, but like, are they going to fix the app? Like, is it going to, and you know what? There have been some improvements, but it's funny because it's like, I've experienced improvements, but then I'm hearing everybody else complain about other issues. And I think one of the problems is that there's all these different interfaces depending on how you're accessing the website, and they're not universal. Like, they're completely different experiences, whether it's on, a Fire Stick, or whether it's on the actual app, whether it's on the website, whether it's through Chromecast. Like, all this shit doesn't it's all different, and it doesn't. The archives, they're saying they're going to be up by like the end of the year. I don't believe that that's actually going to happen.
They said the archives were going to be up like shortly after the relaunch last year.
Bro, they said that the website would be fixed within like 2 to 3 days, and it's been like a month plus now. Like, how am I supposed to believe that any of this shit actually happens? In theory, I think a lot of it is good stuff. I think improving the fan live experience, those are cool things for the domestic audience, I think the AEW, I think that part, the AEW part, was very interesting, because speaking publicly to the perception that there is an inequity between the two companies, and like addressing it publicly. I don't know. That was a choice. I don't know if I respect it, because it's kind of ballsy on them to like, just own it. But I also wonder if any other company would have acknowledged it publicly in that way, because it's like, once you acknowledge it, it exists. Even if you're denying it, like, you're acknowledging it. And it is the perception that a lot of fans have between these two companies and their relationship with one another. So,
well, maybe the feedback was just so loud of even Japanese fans saying that, like, they had no choice but to just be like, hey, yeah, like, we hear y'all, like, we know this is an issue, and we're going to show you that that's wrong. And at one point, like, I kind of actually like they did do this, because I feel like there's a lot of people, your Shinny Han defense squad, who don't want to say anything negative or critique the company negatively at all, will come out and be like, all the stuff, they'll say, oh, New Japan World is fine. Like, and they'll kind of be like, everything's fine with New Japan. And it's like, I'm glad they're actually addressing the issues. Like, yeah, there are issues that need to be worked on, rather than just pretending that everything is okay and trying to, positive spin everything. Like, yeah, there are things that need to change, that need to be worked on. And so I'm kind of glad that's out there. So, when people like us, critique the company, it doesn't sound like we're crazy. Like, yeah, there are actually things that do need to be changed and worked on.
Yeah, and then, eliminating the outside interference is another thing where it's like, I don't know. Do I believe that's going to happen? I would love it if that were the case, but it speaks to that whole thing with kayfabe, where it's like, you guys are the bookers. Like,
right. It's the whole C2 thing of Tony AW. It's like, oh, for the C2 only, strictly no seconds, no outside interference, no run-ins, straight wrestling. And it's like, okay, well, aren't all matches technically supposed to be that way? So, like, why are you acknowledging that, you're kind of undermining your regular matches by saying absolutely no interference in this? And now same thing here. It's like, you're kind of addressing this issue, but yeah, it's a pro wrestling thing, but I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it doesn't logically make very much sense when you set those kind of parameters. Ultimately, when they're like, well, what are we going to do? We're going to take action, reduce / eliminate outside interference. Well, it's like, bro, it's your product. You guys are the bookers. You know what I mean? You determine the amount of interference that occurs on your show,
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen how different bookers through the years and different products have handled this very topic, and it's not always, the westernized bullshit that we've seen over the last few years, even though everyone always says that that's just how pro wrestling is. It's like, I don't know. I've been exposed to a lot of different wrestling from a lot of different countries and a lot of different elements, and not everybody has always done wrestling that way, but ultimately it's on them to, that's another thing. It's like, why are they telling us that they're going to address it? Which why acknowledge the problem in the first place? Just fucking fix it. Like, I don't need to know that you are aware of it. Just do it.
Right. We had
I don't know.
A good question here in the chat from Dex Baker. It says, what do people want out of NJPW's partnership? Should they all look like the Noah partnership?
How did you fucking get that on the screen?
I just clicked on it and it popped up.
So we can be displaying like what people are saying onto the chat?
Yeah.
We're onto. Oh, cool. Hey, another reason that you guys need to give us some money for this shit. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the partnership is, in certain respects, it is one-sided. I mean, there are benefits to both sides, but at this point, there's no denying that AEW is reaping most of the benefit and the reward. I mean, look back at like the California show, and like in the semi-main event, we had that whole Young Bucks angle and all that shit. And like all that was designed to get over and to build up Jack Perry and an angle for the pay-per-view for AEW. And like, you don't see like New Japan guys coming on their product and building up programs and angles and shows for New Japan. Like that shit just doesn't happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I think whenever you have two companies working together, like there's probably going to be one that's more powerful and it's the A side. And, you look back at some of New Japan's partnerships and what's happening now with Noah. Like, look what they did to Kaito Kiyomiya in the G1 last year and some of the Noah guys that come in. When they were partnered with Ring of Honor, like New Japan was the A side and ROH was treated how New Japan is treated by AEW right now. So there's always this power dynamic, which whenever a company has the more resources, is perceived as a top company, there's going to be an A side, and that side's going to reap more of the benefits of the relationship.
But I mean, I think that even if it's going to be unbalanced, which is fine, I mean, that's to be expected. I think that there could be more equitable exchanges. I mean, I think it's high time that New Japan have guys go over there and be used in a prominent position, to not only get over in the Western market, but also promote New Japan over there and then come back. I think that would be a good thing. I also think that it's high time that AEW send some of their young talent on a prolonged excursion to New Japan, not just for like short-term tours, but, guys that, are probably of the ilk of the type of guys that you would see on like just ROH TV, essentially, sort of, station.
Like send Nick Wayne should be doing like tours in New Japan.
Exactly. Something like that. And he even, I was going to say like these guys should be here for a prolonged period. He's a little bit of a stretch because he is involved with the TV, but yeah, I mean, he's a guy that they could definitely be having in the regular rotation.
Yeah. You could do a whole storyline of a Christian being like, I need my son to become a man. So I'm going to send him out on a journey to go to Japan to, whatever, you can have like, you can do all kinds of creative stuff with it.
I mean, whatever you want to do on the AEW side with the booking, I don't need to know the ins and outs. So just give us the good wrestler. I don't care about how they justify it on their TV, whatever,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot more to unpack with this, but super interesting, man. I don't know. I'm mixed on it.
Yeah. Again, I think all good things addressed, but yeah, I think it's like, all right, well, will there be followed through, and how long will it take them to follow through, and all these points? And we had two questions here, but I think we pretty much answered them. Let's commission.
We did.
Any comments about Tanahashi's comments? We kind of talked about that. Death Triangle asking, do we believe they will commit to the plan? So we talked about all that stuff there. So yeah.
Earlier today was the NJPW Despe Invitational. We are not going to review that on today's show. For a couple of reasons. I mean, it was short. I mean, obviously we knew it was coming, but it was, in my opinion, it wasn't necessarily, from what I saw, it wasn't a show that necessarily needed our immediate attention. There wasn't like reverberating effects that, need to be addressed immediately. So, that's part of it. The other thing too is it's hard for us to watch a show and then turn around and review it same day. So when we can avoid doing that, sometimes that's beneficial for us. So we've kind of decided that we are going to review this. We see it as ancillary, product. It's not necessarily something that is part of the overall kayfabe of New Japan, and we're likely gonna put that behind the paywall. So for those of you on the $5 tier,
Grade 1 and IWGP, you'll be getting that review on the Patreon.
Yeah. So we will not be covering that on the show. And let's jump into the news. So a couple news items here. Forbidden Door news. So Zack Sabre Jr. challenged Orange Cassidy this past Saturday on AEW Collision. So it looks like we're getting Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, that's official now.
Jeff Cobb also issued an open challenge for Forbidden Door. We had a question from Rambone Slam Pig, who says, who would you most want to see challenge Jeff Cobb for the TV title at Forbidden Door? I would want either Hechicero or Claudio Castagnoli.
I mean, those are great choices. Claudio, I think, would be a lot of fun. I think Samoa Joe would be a really fun matchup for Cobb.
I'm fine with all of those answers. Hook? I don't know. I don't know. It's weird because, like, you know, in New Japan, whenever anyone asks me, like, who's the guy that you want to see in XYZ scenario, my answer is always going to be Ishii, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really have. Oh, you know what? You know who my answer is usually whenever there's like on the AEW side, it's usually Darby.
Yeah.
If you want to throw me a scenario, like a hypothetical scenario, who from AEW am I just going to throw in there just to see what happens? It's going to be Darby. So like Darby and Cobb probably fucking rule.
Oh yeah. That would be awesome.
In a 15-minute match. Yeah, for sure. Moving on. So during AEW Dynamite, it was confirmed that the TBS champion Mercedes Moné will defend her newly won title against NJPW Strong Women's Champion Stephanie Vaquer. The winner of the match on June 30th will leave New York as a double champion. AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland defends his title against Will Ospreay. There also will be a ladder match for the vacant TNT Championship between Konosuke Takeshita, Mark Briscoe, and to be determined. Good to see the Ring of Honor World Champion striving for a TV title. The AEW Women's Champion Toni Storm defends her title against Mina Shirakawa. And then we had a question here from MJ Does PR. He says, no David Finlay at Dominion. Will he be booked for Forbidden Door? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters. And I mean, he could be booked for Forbidden Door, but who knows? I don't think he's a high priority guy for them.
We'll see. Tickets go on sale June 14th for Capital Collision. So they go on sale Friday, June 14th. That is this week at noon Eastern time. Tickets starting at $25. Big names are already confirmed for the event, including David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, Tetsuya Naito, Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Zack Sabre Jr., Shane Haste, and Mikey Nichols. In Noah news, we had the Noah Star Navigation event on June 9th, same day as
Dominion.
Yeah. Dominion, yeah, that was the same day, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The All Rebellion team of Kaito Kiyomiya and Kano fought Gabe Kidd and Jake Lee. They wrestled to a double countout, 19 minutes and 2 seconds. I haven't seen the match. I did see Gabe Kidd trying to kill Kaito Kiyomiya, bring him off the balcony of Corkin. Also, Corkin was like less than half full.
I didn't see the attendance or number. I did see the clip of like Kiyomiya being like drenched in blood and these guys were like brawling over the place. So it looked like it was a hot angle.
I think Kiyomiya like walked out, saw the crowd, and like threw the GHC title out of like frustration that they were. I don't know. I don't want to misspeak because I didn't see it, but Grand Ship at Yokohama Buntai on Sunday, June 16th is coming up. We have Kaito Kiyomiya defending the GHC title against Gabe Kidd, as well as Hayata and Ryohei Oiwa versus Yoshinari Ogawa and Ulka Sasaki. I also saw that Oiwa declared himself for the N1 victory this year.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't remember shit week to week. So, and then last bit of news. So June 24th, Hechicero will be fighting Zack Sabre Jr. in one-on-one action.
Should be a great match.
Yep.
All right, we got a few questions here, and then we'll wrap things up. So, Left Commission 7252 says, have you guys tried to get Walker Stewart back on the show for an interview since it was still delayed last year?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to reach out to him, but he just keeps big timing me. And this guy's got an ego the size of himself. And he's a big man, so that's a big ego. No, I'm just playing. We have not really talked about it. We saw him at what was that event in Chicago we went
Windy
to?
City Riot.
We saw him at the Windy City Riot. Nice guy. Listens to the show. I think that all parties involved are open to having him come on the show. I think for me, part of it was I wanted it when he does return for it to be like a meaningful discussion, something where it would make sense, where we could get his unique insights as to something coming up. Maybe with G1 around the corner, now's a good time, and we should touch base with him. I'm sure he's probably listening to these words right now, not in real time, but probably on delay. So he'll probably hear this, and maybe a pre-G1 show preview of some sort would be in order. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll reach out to him and see if we can get something to work out there. Next question here from Parfait Curious 3834. Do you see Ricochet or Rick O'Shea competing in this year's G1 as a surprise competitor once his WWE contractual obligations expire in the summer, or do you see him having a short feud with David Finlay for the global title?
I have no interest whatsoever in the idea of anybody that has left WWE coming back to New Japan for a short-term run, a la all the white guys that just did that shit. And Mustafa Ali recently. Like, no, I don't want to see anything fucking like that. So I have no interest in seeing Ricochet come here and work a few dates before he jumps to AEW or whatever that might entail. Now, if it's a situation where he's here and he's signing and he's committing to New Japan for a period of time, or he wants to split his time between here in AEW or here in Impact or whatever that the case may be, absolutely. I think Ricochet is an incredible talent, someone I would love to see back in the cerulean blue. But I would rather him just go to a different company altogether than come here, have work 2 or 3 dates, and then just be gone, because it'd be superfluous. Doesn't make any sense why we would do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would be fine with him coming in and working the G1. I think that's, it's a long tour. That's July to August. That would be cool. Yeah, like I would love that. And I think, even if he left after G1, I think that's a long enough time to where he's committed. He's in a long tournament. He's going to give you 9 singles matches. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't want the whole Nick Nemeth, Matt Riddle, Mustafa Ali thing where he's working a handful of dates in a very spread out time. It doesn't even feel like he's a part of the company. At that point, like just go to AEW, which I'm guessing that's going to be his landing spot. I mean, he's going to get a big money deal. He's been on WWE TV for 5 years now. He's going to get a big money offer from pretty much every company. And so, and also he's also boys with Will Ospreay. He has a lot of friends in AEW. Ospreay wants to run that match back, so I think AEW is
some enemies too.
Yeah, he's got some enemies. He better watch his back back there. But yeah. Let's see. Next question here from Def Triangle 720. Do you think New Japan missed a step by not having Gato out of the booking?
I really can't say, to be honest with you. I don't have enough insight or knowledge about it. We've criticized the booking. And I think that's fair, but it would be arrogant of me to assume that I have that much insight to know whether they should have done that or not.
Yeah, agreed. The other question, what should be the plan for the heavyweight tag division?
Well, they just put the title on TMDK. I think that's a good step in the right direction. And I feel like in the near future, they should probably bring back some of those tag teams that they had initiated during the last year's tag league. That might be a good idea. Maybe bringing in some of the outside groups, tag teams, even if it's on short-term basis, teams from CMLL, teams from NOAH, teams from AEW, just to kind of get the ball rolling with defenses and programs. That might not be a bad idea either. And in the meantime, kind of rehab some of the New Japan tag teams that are kind of waiting in the wings and kind of get those guys going so we can have a full-fledged division again.
Yeah, there's so many options that they could do. Just don't go back to Kenta and Chase. I think that they'll be in the right step there. Last question from Hawaiian Punch BB. If NJPW could somehow sign Ricochet, do you think he would compete in the heavyweight division now?
Yeah, he's tall enough, and he worked in WWE, so yeah.
Yeah, plus he's put on muscle since his first New Japan run. So yeah, I think that if he comes in now, he's definitely going to be a heavyweight and not a junior. All right, well, that's it for the questions. Are we jumping back to recommended match of the week, or is that a dead gimmick now?
No, it's not a dead gimmick. We said we're going to take it off for the tournament. We took it off for the tournament. We should probably start watching some of this shit because we're going to have to do excursion match of the year anyways.
Yeah, we're in June, so yeah, we gotta start.
Do you have an excursion match that you want to throw out there?
Let's see. I think I saw something on NJPW World that might be worth us taking a look at.
I know we never watched that Kitamiya Ishii match.
Oh, that was from Noah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we could watch that.
Okay.
So yeah, let's just.
Do you want to make that your pick, or you want to pick something else?
Yeah, I'll do that. That's my pick.
Okay, and then I will pick the recent match between Zack Sabre Jr. and Daniel Makabe. That match is available. It's from Roseland 8. It was posted 2 weeks ago from Prestige Wrestling, and it is available for free on YouTube.
Nice. So that's our recommended matches of the week. And we're going to wind down here. So thanks, everybody who watched this week's live stream that was free to the public. But that's not always the case. If you enjoyed this live stream, go to patreon.com/KIStrongstyle and join the IWGP tier. You get the live stream every week, plus access to ad-free version of this show. You get the bonus audio. I've been doing the Donovan Digest news updates, been doing the Dominion Deep Dive series, episode 2, dropped this past weekend. So I'll be doing that series all throughout the summer. And we're going to do the Despy Invitational behind there. So lots of great stuff when you sign up, especially on that IWGP tier. You get everything that we're doing there on the paywall. So check that out. Next week, we'll be back to review the New Japan Soul and everything happening in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Remember, you can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On X, we are at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, and at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, also Keeping a Strong Style. On YouTube, we are at Social Suplex. Join our Social Suplex Discord server, interact with us and other wrestling fans, and you can email me, jeremy@socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd and Austin. Imps WWE Adventure with the Implications, Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Slings. Tunnel Talk with Allie, Ann, and Leah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
It's your bum.
Thank you for listening to Keeping It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
Baseball fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Pick any area of the strike zone and take your best swing. If you get a single, double, triple, or home run, you'll receive a prize. Smash a home run to collect a bonus bet on us. Just log into your BetMGM Sports account to get started. Then visit your promotion section to access the Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. You'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. There's nothing more exciting than going yard, so swing for the fences with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Iowa only. Existing customer offers. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary depending on market and expire 24 hours from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.